सखा तू ही। देख तेरा रंग सावला हुआ बावला, लड़की नहीं है तू है गरम मामला, बोलती बंद मुझे कहूँ क्या भला, कुछ भी कहा नहीं जाए। नीचे तो दिल्ली हिले है लंदन, मटक मटक जैसे रवीना टंडन। नीचे तो दिल्ली हिले है लंदन, मटक मटक जैसे रवीना टंडन। आग लगाने आई है बंठन, गोली चल गई धाए। नगरे विलाती ईगो में रहती, नगरे विलाती ईगो में रहती, टशन दिखाती फुल, और लड़की ब्यूटीफुल कर गई चुल।
जो नींद उड़ी आ पूरे सारे ख्वाब करे, क्या करने हैं उम्रों के वादे, ये जो रहते हैं रहने दे आने। दो बार नहीं एक बार सही, एक रात की कर ले तू यारी, सुबह तक मान के मेरी बात, तू ऐसे जोर से ना जी आज के घुंघरू टूट गए, के घुंघरू टूट गए। जो ही बदली दिल की ताल है, आहा यूं ही आया एक ख्याल है, आहा पाते हमें जिंदगी एक बार, क्यों न करे खुल के हम इसका प्यार, जाने किसका है हमें इंतजार, कि जिंदगी यही है और यही।
यारा तेरे सदके इश्क सिखा, मैं तो आई जग तज के इश्क सिखा, मैं तो यारा तेरे सदके इश्क सिखा, मैं तो आई जग तज के इश्क सिखा। जब यार करे परवाह मेरी, मुझे क्या परवाह इस दुनिया की, जग मुझ पे लगाए पाबंदी, मैं हूँ ही नहीं इस दुनिया की।
तुम्ही हो बंधु सखा तुम्ही, तुम्ही हो बंधु सखा तुम्ही, तुम्ही हो बंधु सखा तुम्ही, तुम्ही हो बंधु सखा तुम्ही। देख तेरा रंग सावला हुआ बावला, लड़की नहीं है तू है गरम मामला, बोलती बंद मुझे कहूँ क्या भला, कुछ भी कहा नहीं जाए। नीचे तो दिल्ली हिले है लंदन, मटक मटक जैसे रवीना टंडन। नीचे तो दिल्ली हिले है लंदन, मटक मटक जैसे रवीना टंडन। आग लगाने आई है बंठन, गोली चल गई धाए। नगरे विलाती ईगो में रहती, नगरे विलाती ईगो में रहती, टशन दिखाती फुल, और लड़की ब्यूटीफुल कर गई चुल।
क्यों लम्हे खराब करे, आ गलती बेहिसाब करे, दो पल की जो नींद उड़ी आ पूरे सारे ख्वाब करे, क्या करने हैं उम्रों के वादे, ये जो रहते हैं रहने दे आने। बदली दिल की ताल है, आहा यूं ही आया एक ख्याल है, आहा पाते हमें जिंदगी एक बार, क्यों न करे खुल के हम इसका प्यार, जाने किसका है हमें इंतजार, कि जिंदगी यही है और यही
यारा तेरे सदके इश्क सिखा, मैं तो आई जग तज के इश्क सिखा, मैं तो यारा तेरे सदके इश्क सिखा, मैं तो आई जग तज के इश्क सिखा। जब यार करे परवाह मेरी, मुझे क्या परवाह इस दुनिया की, जग मुझ पे लगाए पाबंदी, मैं हूँ ही नहीं इस दुनिया की।
तुम्ही हो बंधु सखा, तुम्ही दिन चढ़े, तुम्ही दिन ढले, तुम्ही हो बंधु सखा, तुम्ही every time, every minute of the day, तुम्ही हो बंधु सखा, तुम्ही दिन चढ़े, तुम्ही दिन ढले, तुम्ही हो बंधु सखा, तुम्ही देख तेरा रंग सावला हुआ बावला, लड़की नहीं है तुम्हें गरम मामला, बोलती बंद मुझे कहूँ क्या भला, कुछ भी कहा नहीं जाए। चन्नई तो दिल्ली हिले है लंदन, मटक मटक जैसे रवीना टंडन, चन्नई तो दिल्ली हिले है लंदन, मटक मटक जैसे रवीना टंडन, आग लगाने आई है बंठन, गोली चल गई धाए, नगरे विलाती ईगो में रहती, नगरे विलाती ईगो में रहती, टशन दिखाती फुल, और लड़की ब्यूटीफुल कर गई चुल।
क्यों लम्हे खराब करे, आ गलती बेहिसाब करे, दो पल की जो नींद उड़ी, आ पूरे सारे ख्वाब करे, क्या करने हैं उम्रों के वादे, ये जो रहते हैं रहने दे आने, दो बार नहीं एक बार सही, एक रात की कर ले तू यारी, सुबह तक मान के मेरी बात, तू ऐसे जोर से नाची आज, हे घुंघरू टूट गए, हे घुंघरू टूट गए। जो ही बदली दिल की ताल है, आहा यूं ही
लड़की ब्यूटीफुल कर गई चुल।
खराब करे आ गलती बेहिसाब करे, दो पल की जो नींद उड़ी आ पूरे सारे ख्वाब करे। क्या करने हैं उम्रों के वादे, ये जो रहते हैं रहने दे आधे। दो बार नहीं एक बार सही, एक रात की कर ले तू यारी। सुबह तक मान के मेरी बात, तू ऐसे जोर से ना जिया आज के घुंघरू टूट गए, के घुंघरू टूट गए। जो ही बदली दिल की ताल है, यूं ही आया एक ख्याल है। पाते हमें जिंदगी एक बार, क्यों न करे खुल के हम इसका प्यार। जाने किसका है हमें इंतजार, कि जिंदगी यही है और यही।
तेरा रंग सावला हुआ बावला, लड़की नहीं है तू है गरम मामला। बोलती बंद मुड़ी कहूँ क्या भला, कुछ भी कहा नहीं जाए। नीचे तो दिल्ली हिले है लंदन, मटक मटक जैसे रवीना टंडन। नीचे तो दिल्ली हिले है लंदन, मटक मटक जैसे रवीना टंडन। आग लगाने आई है बंठन, गोली चल गई धाए। नगरे विलाती ईगो में रहती, नगरे विलाती ईगो में रहती, टशन दिखाती फुल।
और लड़की ब्यूटीफुल कर गई चुल।
खराब करे आ गलती बेहिसाब करे, दो पल की जो नींद उड़ी आ पूरे सारे ख्वाब करे। क्या करने हैं उम्रों के वादे, ये जो रहते हैं रहने दे आधे। दो बार नहीं एक बार सही, एक रात की कर ले तू यारी। सुबह तक मान के मेरी बात, तू ऐसे जोर से ना जिया आज के घुंघरू टूट गए, के घुंघरू टूट गए। जो ही बदली दिल की ताल है, आया एक ख्याल है। पाते हमें जिंदगी एक बार, क्यों न करे खुल के हम इसका प्यार। जाने किसका है हमें इंतजार, कि जिंदगी यही है और यही।
यारा तेरे
Manpreet, we can start.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening and welcome to one and all present here. My name is Manpreet Kaur.
Jaiswal, along with Manpreet. It's a real pleasure to welcome you all for this beautiful webinar organized by the Department of Psychology of Aryan College and SWA Science College, headed by Dr. Meghna Basu Thakur.
In collaboration with the Department of Psychology, headed by Professor Neha Dalal of LS Raheja College of Arts and Commerce.
Moving forward, I would like to give all some comments why we have held this webinar today. The reason being is that the International Self-Care Day is globally celebrated today, which gives all an opportunity tools of self-care in our arsenal for when we need it the most, which is surprisingly more often than think. Can you elaborate more on this?
It stresses the importance of self-care as the cornerstone of wellness. On this day, individuals throughout the world are encouraged to make self-care a part of their everyday routines and turn it into a priority. It is a milestone and an opportunity to raise further awareness of the benefits of effective self-management of health.
And so, because you say, putting yourself first, to encourage to the a couple of other things, and of course, our national college and our
Excuse me, Khushi.
Bihar University.
I'm sorry, Khushi, we cannot. Khushi, there's a lot of disturbance.
University and the area.
Manpreet, can you take over?
Yes, ma'am. We are hosting college students from Ranchi, Lucknow, Jodhpur, and a couple of other states, and of course, RD National College and SWA Science College and LS Raheja College of Arts and Commerce. Students from Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar Bihar University, KET's VG Ways College, HSNC University, Radha Govind University, KC College, NG Acharya and DK Marathe College, Mumbai University, Acharya, MMP Shah, SNDT Matunga, Naviyoti Manovikas Special Teacher, many more, and of course, our very own RD National College and SWA Science College and LS Raheja College of Arts and Science. Before we get started, we would like to introduce Dr. Neha Jagtiani, our principal, who has consistently supported our departmental activities and encouraged us to keep us on such events.
Please play her recording.
A famous philosopher once said, it is very, very, though I look at memories of the past with fondness, it is the future which is holds full of promise and opportunities. That's why in a car, the rear view mirror is very small and the windscreen is so big, looking at the future. Hello and a very warm welcome to this very important webinar organized by the Department of Psychology, RD National College on International Self-Care Day. A very, very warm welcome to the principal of LS Raheja College, Dr. Debajit Sarkar. A very warm welcome to Dr. Meghna Basu Thakur and all the wonderful delegates and students and faculty who have joined for this very pertinent webinar. Someone said something very rightly. There's someone who can cook for you, there's someone who can drive your car, there's someone who can run your company for you, but nobody can fall sick for you. You have to take care of your own health. So it's very important that you diet, exercise, sleep well, keep your mental equilibrium, be peaceful, and maintain your health. Because health is definitely your biggest asset and your wealth. You can face every challenge in the world if you're healthy. A very warm welcome to each and every one of you. I'm sure it's going to be a great learning today from this webinar. And I conclude with the very, very famous words. The best way to make your dreams come true is to wake up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'd like to request the principal of LS Raheja College, Dr. Debajit Sarkar sir, to address our students who has always guided and inspired them and set a great example for all of us.
Good evening to all. I thank Dr. Neha Jagtiani for collaborating with the LS Raheja College of Arts and Commerce to celebrate International Self-Care Day. I thank all the participants who have taken part in this webinar on Self-Care Day. I thank the learned speakers who will be addressing various issues in regards to self-care, and I'm sure that each one of you will benefit from the proceedings of the webinar. I thank the department heads of both the colleges for initiating this kind of collaboration, and I'm sure that they will take this ahead in conducting various kind of academic and co-curricular activities in future. My good wishes to all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening words. We would like to inaugurate our webinar with our guest of honor, Dr. Kirsi Chawda. He has received countless accolades. He works as a consultant and a practicing psychiatrist at Hinduja National Hospital in Mumbai. He has organized numerous seminars and workshops, given numerous presentations at national forums on mental health related topics, and written chapters for 2 volumes that address pediatric and teenage stress, respectively. He was the past president of Bombay Psychiatry Society and a chairperson of the task force of the IPS dealing with the LGBTQIA plus community. 2 of the 5 learned judges who repealed Section 377 used his position statement, which he was able to issue as evidence in their historic ruling. We now invite Dr. Kirsi Chawda, sir, to enlighten us with his words.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be able to talk to kids. You are the future. You must remember that most of us adults have done our best to cause damage to the world. So when we look at youngsters and we look at what they're going to do in the future, we are extremely hopeful. We are talking today of Self-Help Day. And what does that really mean? The World Health Organization defines self-care as the ability of individuals, families, and organizations to promote health, to prevent disease, to maintain health, and to cope with illness and disability with or without a healthcare professional. Now, we must remember that India is not only in its cities, India is all over the place. We have villages, we have small little towns, we have smaller cities, and the amount of healthcare that is possibly available is not as much as it should be. We have very, very few doctors, we have very, very few nurses, and that is the reality that India is all about. But if you're looking at self-care, if you're looking at self-help, most people only talk about physical illnesses. They talk in terms of, am I physically strong? Am I eating enough? Do I do exercise? Do I stop smoking? Should I drink at all? Should I or should I not take drugs? Is the law an ass which says that I should not be speeding? Is the law an ass that says that I cannot get a driving license till I'm 18? And so on and so forth. We are all used to this. Over the last few years, the narrative has now started coming in terms of what mental health is all about. And it is my privilege to be inaugurating this seminar. And the fact that mental health is what we are going to be starting off with is a portent of the enormous importance that we are giving mental health and mental illnesses. I've seen the other speakers. There's a myriad number of experiences that you'll be talking about. There's a huge number of different aspects of health that will be discussed in today's webinar. And that's so very important for all of us. What do I mean when I say that mental health is so important and mental illnesses are on the upsurge? Whether we like it or not, anything between 20 and 30% of the population is going to have signs and symptoms which are enough to be considered to be a mental illness. Whether we like it or not, there is more and more reporting that is happening. We open the newspapers and we read about people who are talking about their trysts with depression or with anxiety or with OCD. We listen to celebrities talking about how they have coped with the pressures that they have faced just by fact that they were celebrities. In our own school systems and our college systems, we are looking at the increasing number of students who come and talk to us about the fact that either they're in an abusive relationship or they're in a situation where they have lost the battle with addiction, or that they're extremely depressed and often suicidal, or that they have severe anxiety. While I was waiting for the seminar to start, a couple of flashcards which came on talked about the various illnesses. And now we're talking of mental illnesses right from the time you're born till the time you die. We're looking at the fact that India has a huge child population and we also have a huge adult population. And the adults seem to last longer and longer. They live longer and longer, which is wonderful. But the only hassle is that as you live longer and longer, you'll end up having more and more illnesses of old age. We have a huge child population, even though we talk about the fact that the fertility rate is going down, we're still looking at a huge number of kids. And when kids come up to me and people sometimes ask me, what's the youngest age of the child who's come to you? And I say almost since birth. Because when we see kids who have issues with intelligence, issues with development, issues with vocalization, issues with their mental health, the milestones, issues with the fact that they cannot concentrate and they're extremely restless in a classroom situation, issues with the fact that they have problems with relationships, or that they have problems relating to the fact that they have so much of anxiety that when you ask them to talk in front of an audience, they freeze up. These are all mental health issues. And whether we like it or not, and whether we say, oh, you're a strong person, I don't really know what strong means. Are you a weak person if you have diabetes? Are you a weak person if you have high blood pressure? Are you a weak person if you fractured your hand or you fractured your leg? No, you're not. You're a normal person who has a problem. Just like that, it is absolutely imperative for all of us to be aware of the fact that if you have anxiety or you have depression or you have OCD or you're addicted to something, or you have sleep issues or you have eating disorders, or as you grow older, you'll end up feeling very depressed and very anxious. You have relationship issues. You get into severe panic. You get into severe aggressive episodes. You'll end up thinking that people are against you, people are after you. You feel that you're forgetting. You feel that your motor movements are not as good as it should be. All of these are portents of the fact that you might be having a mental illness. And if you're having a mental illness, it is imperative for us to deal with these mental illnesses just the way that you would deal with a physical illness. COVID has been a great problem. And what we've also noticed in terms of intellectual and psychiatric issues related to COVID, in the past, supposing you had a problem, a mental health problem, and you went to a counselor or you went to a psychiatrist and you got stable. Very often we find that after the COVID situation, people who are very stable end up having major problems. People who are very stable land up having an aggravation of the issues that they had before COVID. Whether we like it or not, there's a huge explosion of genetics, which has now come out in the mainstream. And we know that if there is a genetic issue, if there is a mother or a father or a parent or a grandparent or an uncle or an auntie who's had a particular psychiatric illness, then the chance of the progeny or the future generations having this illness, either that or allied or even physical ailments, because it goes across the whole spectrum, is much, much higher than what it would have been if the person didn't have it. So whether we like it or not, and whether we push our heads into the sand and pretend it doesn't exist or not, we are faced with a mental health explosion. In fact, now we talk of the mental health pandemic, which is the new pandemic. And we have seen almost two classes of kids, especially in the lower classes. They haven't been able to go to school, and the normal socialization and the normal stuff that they would have faced otherwise has not occurred because they were housed at home. We've seen that especially kids with special needs, because we are also talking of a huge population of kids with special needs in India. They were used to going to maybe physiotherapists and occupational therapists, special educators. And however much we attempt to do things related to, working on the net, so that the parent would see what is happening on the net and try to simulate a similar experience to the kids, it's not the same. We've had major issues, and I envisage, and all my colleagues are now seeing, that we just can't cope with the amount of people who are seeking help. We are actually saying, no, don't come to us. And they just land up and say, we just have to this. We are having major issues. What do we see in terms of the healthcare that we can do? Because that is finally the topic of today's discussion. We all talk of lifestyle changes, whether we like it or not. And most of you guys are youngsters. So it's lovely to be able to sleep very late, and it's lovely to be able to go out and not get enough rest, and maybe not do the exercise that we should be doing, and eat junk and stuff like that. And we're not saying you shouldn't do that. I mean, we don't expect you to behave like 80-year-olds and say, beta, ye mat karo, and beta, wo mat karo. That's not going to happen. But what we do expect is that there has to be some kind of rationalization. There has to be some kind of awareness of what is acceptable and what is not. Whether you like it or not, it's a good idea to be getting enough sleep. Now, I have a lot of kids coming up to me, and especially with the COVID generation and the fact that you didn't have to go to college or school in the morning, you could sleep till very late at night, watch your Netflix, and then get up in the morning at 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, and then say, oh, but I sleep in the afternoon as well. There are a huge number of processes that take place in the darkness of the night related to certain neurotransmitters in the brain, specifically melatonin. And it is imperative that we get our 7 or 8 hours of sleep at night. So whether you like it or not, get enough sleep. It is imperative that we eat sensibly. Of course, we will eat stuff that we are not supposed to, but you can't only eat stuff that you're not supposed to. We have to be circumspect about keeping the lifestyle, physical ailments in control. That is a must. We look in terms of exercise. More and more research has come into the domains of proper exercise. And I think the new directive is about 45 minutes of something 4 or 5 times a week. That's supposed to be a good average. So you can walk, you can cycle, you can swim, you can do yoga, you can dance, you can play a game. It doesn't matter what you do, but you should do something. And we will have times when we are a little lazy, and we will have times when we don't want to do it, but it's a good lifestyle to have. What about the addictions? We forget that cigarettes are actually the biggest addiction. Nicotine is. It's not a good idea to smoke. Whatever people say in terms of, oh, it stabilizes me, it makes me feel better, it reduces my anxiety, it's all bunkum. The only thing it does, it causes a huge amount of physical and other problems, and it's a good idea not to go about it. Alcohol, a lot of people drink. It's a good idea to reduce it to the utmost. It's a good idea to not necessarily believe that if I drink, I've got to get high, because we don't really need to get high. We are noticing a huge number of kids landing up with alcohol issues. We're noticing a huge number of kids landing up with liver disorders in the hospitals to which I am consultant, and it's a very, very sad state of affairs. Drugs, let us not get into drugs. Yes, this whole thing of, but America allows this, and the US and the UK allows it, and it's a legal thing. Yes, they may allow a lot of things, but we have noticed over and over again, and experiments have found that, for example, in the Norwegian cities where we used to actually have bong houses where you could buy certain substances legally across the counter, and they thought that it would help. They're closing down. They find it's an experiment that hasn't worked. Let us not allow these things to happen. Let us not necessarily cause a problem to our cognitive abilities because of these chemicals that we take, even if we believe that it's not going to do any harm. A lot of research shows that it does. What are the other things we should look at? It's necessary for us to destigmatize mental illnesses. During the COVID time, I must have given about 200 odd webinars, and it's frightening to see the kind of stuff that is coming on. But when I'm talking to colleges, and I know I've even spoken to the National College of Psychology seminars in the past, I have been invited and it's been a pleasure. I know at times that when I've asked kids in various forums, how many of you have thought of the fact that maybe you or somebody else in the family or somebody else you know has a mental illness? And about 80 to 90% of people have stood up and said we are either anxious or we are depressed or we are actually suicidal. Some people talk about the fact that they've actually attempted suicide. And when I say, why don't you ask for help? They say, people believe that it's not to be talked about. Let's get over this. You're the youngsters. You're the guys who are going to be coming out into the forefront and hopefully making India into the superpower that everybody is talking about and that we are all waiting with bated breath. We are not going to become a superpower unless we also talk of mental health. We are not going to become a superpower unless we talk of absolute integration of people in the minority status, people with gender differences, people with intellectual differences. It is essential for everybody to be incorporated in the midstream. And for that to happen, we are looking at self-care. For that to happen, we are looking at the fact that we have to treat every person as equal and not get into this thing of, oh, you're depressed, haha, you've been brought up wrongly, your parenting has been bad, your childhood has been terrible. That's absolute nonsense. A person who has depression or anxiety has an actual neurological deficit. There is something that has happened in the brain, which may or may not include the neurotransmitters, which everybody talks about, but that's not the only thing that is there, which may or may not actually include structural changes in the brain. There are electronic circuits which get affected. Today, psychiatry and psychiatric illnesses are brain-based issues. Yes, the environment plays a certain amount of role in this. Obviously, if you're traumatized or you're sexually abused or there's constant physical ailments, you are going to get affected. It's going to aggravate the condition. But we always see that now genes seem to be more important than the environment. So if we're looking at it in terms of what we expect for the future, specifically since you're talking about the day that is today, that is the International Day of Self-Care, let us also pledge that if we feel sad, if we feel upset, if we feel very angry and it's going out of control, specifically if we feel suicidal, if we feel our concentration is not as good as it could be or that we're getting very restless, if we feel that people are shunning us or talking to us badly, or we feel that there are waves which are controlling the way we behave, etc., let us seek help. You go to your doctor, you go to your teachers, you go to your psychologist colleagues, you go to the counselors, you come to us as psychiatrists. We are not horrible people. We are not going to make you come under our control, and we're not going to inject you with drugs, which is going to cause a major problem. So those are nice little myths which have been perpetuated in the past, which are not based on reality. Another thing, do realize Dr. Google is not a doctor. There is nothing as irritating as people who come up to me and say, oh, I got this, and I need this. Please get over that. Let us seek the help where it is needed. Let us learn to destigmatize the psychiatric illnesses, mental health illnesses, so that we can actualize our potential and be as positive as we possibly can be in the future to come. I was asked to speak about 20 minutes, which I've done. And then I was told that there may be some questions which might come up. It's been a pleasure to talk to all of you. And I hope you all go out with the magic mantra that let's talk mental health. Over to you, Manpreet.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Now we're going to take a few questions. I request everyone to please drop down their questions and insight in the chat box.
So good evening, sir. There is a question that has been put up in the chat box. Am I audible, Khushi?
Yes,
Yes. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for taking time out from your busy schedule, sir. And it's always a pleasure to have you amongst us and share your input. Sir, there is this one question that, students keep asking me, that what is the importance of exercising and what is exercise got to do with mental health?
Okay, so Dr. Meghna, thank you for asking me this question. I'm a gym buff, I'm a gym rat, and I believe that it's very, very important. So the past 35 years, I've been going to the gym off and on, more on than off. And I do believe it makes a difference to my life. Let's face up to the fact that we all get very stressed. You get stressed as a teacher, people get stressed as doctors, kids get stressed being students, and in relationships, parents get stressed being parents, and so on and so forth. Physical illness is known to release certain neurotransmitters that make you feel a little more positive. In any case, in the growing up stage, physical exercise is important in order to enable your muscles, your nerves, and your overall stature to become better than what it was, so that your heart pumps better, your muscles become stronger, you're able to have an increase in lung capacity and things like that. Especially for those who have things like asthma, it's wonderful to go through graded exercises and to be able to increase your lung capacity, because that is going to help you even in physical ailments. There have been studies which have shown also that, now India has become almost the capital of breast cancer in the world. And they've been shown that ladies who do physical activity, the incidence of breast cancer seems to be pushed beyond. So that is something that we should do all the time. If you're talking of it in terms of mental health, I would certainly say that when you're angry, when you're upset, when you're irate, when you're distressed, when you're frustrated, go for a run or do some gym or something like that, and you will find that you have a calming influence. A lot of the negative energy, which otherwise is manifest in stuff that you don't want to do, gets channelized into something nice. I know that when I'm angry with a patient, I give my nice little gullies, and I'm giving, when I'm doing push-ups, and it seems to calm me down. I'm sure it will calm everybody down as well.
Thank you so much, sir. There's another question from a student, Aditi Nabar. What are some kind of questions we can ask ourselves to keep our mental health in check?
So the question that we should ask ourselves really is this: am I doing everything that I need to do in order to actualize my potential? I think we've now got to get to a stage where we want to do the best that we can do. It's not enough just to do things. It's not enough just to be okay. Now, I'm certainly not saying that you're going to be the best in everything, but I'm saying that whatever you do, do it in the way that you do it the best that you can. And if you're not doing that, and if you're shortchanging yourself, then I would certainly believe that that is something that you should not be doing. Now, in addition to that, look at it in terms of the symptoms. So, most of you are psychology students or psychology in the faculty. So you know what depression is all about, you know what anxiety is all about. So if you find, for example, that you're getting into panic attacks, if you find that you're very depressed, if there's suicidality, if there are attentional problems, those are the questions you should ask yourself. And then you ask yourself whether it, I know. So for example, if I'm with my wife and I have a fight with my wife and I'm sad, that doesn't give me clinical depression. But if the sadness is enough that it actually comes in the way of my actualizing my potential, I get affected at work, I can't sleep at night, my physicality gets affected, I start snapping and snarling at everybody, then I need help. So it's the extent of the problems that you're facing, which is something that needs to be looked at. So it is absolutely important for us to be in a situation where we keep asking ourselves whether what we are doing is a problem. And if it is a problem in terms of what I was doing before, then we need to seek help.
Thank you, sir. There's the last question for you, sir. How do we destigmatize reaching out to a psychologist / psychiatrist / mental disorders? How do we as students?
Yeah, so just go out and seek help. Just talk about it all the time. I have been thrilled to bits. I remember having given a talk at a school, and then about 2 weeks later, there was this man who came up to me. He slunk into my cabin, and I said, "Yes, what brings you here?" And he looked at me embarrassedly, and he said, "My son was in that school or college where you had given a talk." And he came back to me and he said, "Dad, go meet that shrink. You need it. It's going to make you happier." We need to talk and talk and talk and talk about it. It needs to become part of the breakfast conversation. It needs to become part of everyday parlance, and we shouldn't use it inappropriately. "Ye to pagal hai" is not nice. Some other words which have connotations for mental health is certainly avoided. To use things like even inappropriate sexual norms is not the best thing in the world. And given the fact that there is such a huge amount of bullying that takes place, cyber or otherwise, so much of body shaming, let's embrace our difficulties rather than push them away. Let's get closer to everybody and tell everybody that we care for each other. I strongly believe, and I say this in every seminar, I strongly believe that we're going to be a happy family and a happy society if we have a feeling of connectedness. During COVID, I started 5 COVID helpline services in the country. Some national, some only Bombay-based society, and it was wonderful. But what we came across very much is the youngsters, all you youngsters, all in college. They were so enthusiastic, they did so much. I mean, we keep listening to the negative news about how this college student did this and how this guy murdered somebody else and how this guy did what he shouldn't have done, etc., etc. Somehow good news doesn't spread. And I keep telling people, let's spread good news. Let's keep talking about the good stuff that's happening. Let's keep talking about all you guys who are doing so much of work. Let's keep talking about the good, happy feelings that we also experience. Nobody in the least is saying that, there are butterflies fluttering around and there are roses all over and everybody waves out to each other happily. No, I mean, we're staying in a terribly congested metro and there's dirt and there's filth and there's so much, but there's so much happiness. Let's spread that happiness. And through mental illness, if we can somehow convey to people that it's okay to talk about the fact that I'm down and I'm out, then I think mental illnesses get stigmatized. Let's also talk about our experiences with doctors and psychologists. I know very recently, my wife and I had gone to a party. I stay in Bandra, very close to National College, by the way. So my wife and I had gone to a party somewhere. And at the end of the party, my wife comes back to me and says, there were about 8 couples in the party. 5 of those couples came up to me and said that they're seeing you. What's wrong? Everybody's going mad or what? And I said, shut up. Nobody's going mad. They all want to actualize their potential. And that is what mental health should be about. We look at mental illnesses, of course we do. We look at mental health, of course we do. But we've got to do things to be the best that we can be.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chawda. That was absolutely a bullseye answer. And I think I completely resonate when you say, Eda hai, pagal hai, and, you show here. And my son is very young and I completely understand what is body shaming. And you see how upset they get, especially after 2 years going back with so much of, putting on a little bit of weight, not getting used to going back to school. And when friends make fun of you, you get so upset. So I completely understand what you're saying. So thank you once again for taking time out on a Sunday evening, sir. And it's always a pleasure to have you and share your views with our students.
God bless. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you. Over to you, Manpreet.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you taking your time out of your schedule and joining us today, as well as sharing your invaluable insight on how broad the notion of self-care is, for understanding how crucial it is to view mental health at the same level as physical health and to take care of them the same. Unsteady sleep hours, the growth of our population leading to increase in mental health illness, the youth falling prey to substance abuse are all more reason why it is important to follow the mental illness. We are grateful for you to be here today as an example of how we can continue to breach the barriers of our society has placed. So moving forward, in the next segment, we will learn more and break the stereotype about meditation, which has been known to help cultivate mindfulness in the present moment, which we could all use, since we are always living the past or worrying about the future. When I say the word meditation, what comes to your mind? You can write that in the chat box. Well, what comes in my mind is to sit still, close my eyes, focus on my breath. But today, Miss Cheslene Chandok will help us realize it is more than that. Miss Cheslene is an engineer and MBA graduate who has been practicing various types of meditation for roughly 7 years, such as Vipassana and Theravada Buddhist meditation techniques. She has also been practicing Shivananda and Iyengar yoga for 6 years. We are eager to hear from you, Jasleen ma'am, and I would like to invite you to speak. Over to you, Jasleen ma'am.
Thank you so much, Krushi. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. So, hello everyone. I've been asked to speak briefly about meditation. I'm sure you all want a brief session, so I promise I'll try to keep it short. My name is Jasleen Chandok, and I'm not a big meditation guru or a sadhu. I've not gone to the mountains to meditate in caves, but I would like to talk to you all about my journey and meditation's role in it. Uh, I hope this helps some of you great people sitting here. I mean, you are the people who will be helping so many others with mental health issues, with, uh, uh, helping them end their suffering, with helping them understand themselves. So, I'm actually really, really obliged I'm doing this today. I'm very thankful because even if I can just, impact just 1% of your thinking, I think my job will be done here today. And you all have an empty canvas in front of you, canvas of your life that you can paint in any way that you want, with your actions, with your choices, with your relationships, with your job, your study. And believe me, trust me when I say that meditation will help you become a better painter, better at everything that you want to achieve and the way you want to live. You don't really have to become a sadhu. You don't have to go to retreats every few months. You just have to imbibe a certain amount of practice in your daily life, and magical things will start happening, and your mind will start changing in a beautiful way. So until the 25th year of my life, actually, I'm currently 34. I never knew long-term depression and anxiety. So when I turned 25, suddenly I started suffering from depression, anxiety, and it was a very, very difficult year for me. That feeling of absolute dread, living in that feeling constantly. I used to be in a room full of people, or maybe surrounded by my friends and family, and yet I used to feel very alone and lonely. I'm sure you will come across such students, such patients in your, future life, and it was, pain that was like throughout the body. Somehow couldn't explain it why it was happening, and life and everything else felt very meaningless at that time, and there was a longing for non-existence. I went to several psychiatrists, and somehow the medicines also weren't working. And I remember waking up on this very disturbing night. Like I woke up and I was drenched in my own sweat, and I was very anxious. And suddenly I thought, I cannot continue living this way. And the next thought that came just completely changed my life. I thought to myself that, I need to train my mind to stop the suffering. This thought has completely changed my mind, and I've never looked back. It just seems that, I was living somebody else's life, or it was like a past life. I'm not sure, but, uh, the first time I actually met a monk who eventually became my teacher for the next 5 years. I owe a lot to him. He's a great man, and I'm so thankful to him. So he used to talk about things like, compassion, letting go, inner peace. And I used to think like, yeah, right. Like those are just words that people talk about. Those are just phrases that don't exist in real life. And I mean, those can't be true, but I was extremely wrong. When I started meditating, I initially struggled a lot, like everyone else who tries to meditate. My mind found out that I'm trying to tame it and train it. So it became like extra jumpy. Like we talk about the monkey mind, but it was like the biggest monkey ever. So I would sit to meditate and I would think, okay, I'm going to focus on my breath. And then a thought would pop in. Why am I doing this? Like, is this even useful? Okay, get back to the breath, get back to the breath. Oh, I need to find a new job. Okay, all right, get back to the breath, get back to the breath. When will I get inner peace? Okay, get back to the breath. घर पे टमाटर खत्म हो गए हैं. So okay, get back to the breath, inner peace. And then finally, बहुत हो गया है. I need my phone right now. So it took a while for me to, keep practicing. And I mean, you know, something that a lot of people say is that whatever you practice grows stronger. I truly believe in this. Still, there are times after 8 years of meditation, there are times when the mind is agitated. But I now know how to look at a mind from a non-judgmental, from a very kind and compassionate manner. That okay, it's a little agitated today. It's all right. With that sense of acceptance that okay, my mind is excited today. My mind is feeling a little low today. You won't, as Dr. Kesri also said, you won't always have like, happy days or, rainbows here and there and all of that. But at least you're observing how your mind is at that time. So now, 8 years later, I feel that I have a completely transformed life. I have a new mind. I have a new body. I have an upgraded me. It's like Jasleen 2.0. And so meditation not only, like took me out of my depression and anxiety, but it helped me cultivate a source of peace and happiness that was coming from inside. Uh, it wasn't really dependent on the external world. I'm also more productive now. I work in a corporate setup. I meditate. I do yoga. I have fulfilling relationships with my family and my friends. I pursue a lot of my hobbies, and I also teach meditation. So, I mean, please do give it a try. And in the future, whenever you have patients who are struggling, you can ask them to try out different forms of meditation, yoga, and spiritual practices. So several studies have proved the results of meditation. But I would like to mention one particular study, the Rotterdam study, which was conducted in 2018, in which MRI scans were done on two different groups. So one group was a group of people who meditated 30 minutes daily for 3 months, and another group which was not meditating. So the scans were conducted on both the groups before and after the 3 months. I'll share some of the studies now, some of the results now. After the 3 months, the scan for the meditators changed drastically. So now you guys are psychology students. I don't really have to tell you about the parts of the brain, but I'll still go ahead and tell you a little. But what was found out was that the volume of the prefrontal cortex increased. I'm sure you are already aware that this part of the brain is very central to cognitive functioning, to memory, to dopamine, and influencing attention. So that increased. A very interesting observation was that 50-year-old people who meditated had the same volume of prefrontal cortex as 25-year-olds. So in a way, meditation may actually slow down and prevent age-related decline in cortical structure. I mean, that's really amazing. Apart from this, the volume of the hippocampus also increased. So the area that assists in learning and memory, that increased. the volume of the amygdala, our fight or flight part of the brain, that reduced. So after meditating, people found changes in the way they were reacting, to external stimuli. So just to mention a few other results of meditation, I'm sure all of you already know this, but it reduces stress and anxiety. It leads to better sleep. As Dr. Kesri also mentioned, currently, of course, I'm sure you guys don't really care much about sleeping. Padhai karo, party kar lo, kha lo, junk food, all of that, or let's just watch a few more episodes. But eventually, sleep will become more and more important for cognitive functioning, for memory, for attention, for the ability to become better, to learn every day. Then it also leads to enhanced ability to pay attention, ability to learn, memory, cognitive ability, strengthening of immune functioning, and an all over increased quality of life. So yeah, meditation is pretty awesome, guys. Everybody's accepting it. There are a lot of scientific studies that are happening, and if what I'm saying resonates even a bit with you, then go ahead, try it out. You can feel free to experiment with different kind of meditations. Like every different personality, every different person, you guys are also unique and awesome. There will be a different meditation that will be suited for each one of you. So go ahead and try it out. You can try out mindful breath meditation, body scanning, gratitude, chakra, yoga, nidra, mindful walking meditation. And for the super spiritual people out there, if you want, you can try out more advanced practices like Vipassana, Theravada forms of meditations. And I myself, I've tried several different types, and I've been trained in Theravada and Vipassana meditations, and I teach those as well. And actually, let's do something. I think it's important for us to at least give 2 minutes of today to meditation. Just 2 minutes I'm asking for, not a whole lot. So I would just request all of you to please close your eyes. It's just for 2 minutes, so nothing is going to happen. I'm sure you guys have the time. It's a Sunday evening. So just close your eyes and try to relax. Relax your forehead. Relax your face, your neck, your chest, your stomach. Relax your arms, your back, and relax your legs. Feel the present moment right now. Be aware of the sounds. Be aware of being in the present. Inhale deeply. And while you're inhaling, focus on the breath that's going in. Focus on the abdomen rising and expanding. As you're breathing out, focus on the breath coming out of your nostril. Focus on the abdomen contracting. Please inhale deeply. Please exhale deeply. Inhale deeply. Exhale deeply. And gently open your eyes. So, how many of you felt that the mind was wandering? Awesome. That's absolutely okay. There was a study by Harvard which actually mentioned that the mind wanders 47% of the time. So it's absolutely normal, guys. Every person who's ever meditated feels this way in the beginning. So don't get discouraged if the mind is wandering. It's natural. Even I've met monks who have meditated for 30 years, 35 years of their life. Their mind wanders, and it's all right. When you meditate, just be very kind to yourself. It's all right. It's okay. Let's just accept and try to come back. That's all. So I hope it's not very difficult to take out 2 minutes, 3 minutes of your time every day to try to meditate. It's really about consistency. We feel we are very busy. We feel we have to quickly reply to a WhatsApp message or quickly upload a story or, like someone else's story. Or yeah, well, sleep is important. So you got to do that. But 2 minutes, gradually you can increase to 3, gradually maybe 10. That's about it. 10 minutes is, I think, it's not a lot to ask, right? Anyway, so I would I would urge you to try out meditation, any types that you feel comfortable with. And there are a lot of online resources also available for meditation, but I would urge you to work under a teacher, because it's very important that you're guided in the right way, because there's a lot of like fake stuff also available online. And so I wish you the best of luck to kickstart your journey to a more balanced and centered and happier self. And yeah, a very happy self-care day to all of you guys.
Thank you so much, Jasleen ma'am. I'm Dr. Meghna. I think just by looking at the screen and seeing your smiling face and such a calm composure, I completely understand this is the effect of positive meditation. You've been smiling all through your session, and it's just so calming to look at you, as in, all stress out and just be nice to yourself. So thank you so much, ma'am. It was great listening to you. And I think a lot of questions have come in which you've answered, that it's all right, to start with 2 minutes. It's all right to do everything else, but just give yourself that, time for yourself to kind of calm down, starting with 2 minutes. And I think it's a very, I need to start that, because every time, I hear someone say, close your eyes, and I'm like, no, oh my God, I can't do that. But I think it's the right time to start. So thank you, ma'am. I'm going to take a couple of questions that students have posted. One of the questions that student has asked, is there a right or wrong way to meditate?
Well, there are several right ways to meditate. Like if you're working under a teacher who's been meditating and teaching for a long time, they will guide you to get to the right way. And you can keep asking your doubts. You can keep working with those teachers closely, and it's easier to get to the right way then. There are wrong ways, but mostly it's wrong if you don't meditate, but also it's wrong if you're very judgmental of your practice, if you're not kind to your practice, if a particular day you couldn't even focus for 1 second and you're judging yourself. That's wrong, because you're training your mind to be mean to yourself. You're training your mind to be critical to yourself. And the whole idea of meditation is to get free from all this judgment towards yourself, right? So once you're going to accept yourself, will come confidence, and then you'll be able to help others get that confidence as well. So there are a lot of right ways to meditate. There are a lot of good Buddhist and yogic meditation techniques. I urge you to follow some good schools of meditations, not individual, YouTubers maybe. That might not be the ideal way to go about it. But yeah, if you're following good teachers on this path, I don't think there's anything right or wrong, except that please be kind to yourself and kind to others. we're all humans and we all have a difficult mind and we're all suffering. So, let's just try to get out of it. And basically, start from a good path, start from a good school, and you will land up at a good place.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there's another question from a student. Is there a correct time of the day when you should be meditating, or any time is the right time?
I would say any time is the right time. But personally, and what a lot of people, a lot of meditators also say is that morning time is the best time to meditate. One, because you're just getting ready to get started. So you brush your teeth, you take a bath, you want to exercise or go for a walk, you do all of that. That is your me time. You don't have any to-do lists, you don't have any schedule or a syllabus to complete. And आप अपने mind की सफाई कर रहे हो तब. How you're cleaning your body, you have to clean your mind also. So it has to be ingrained, like you brush your teeth, take a bath, go sit for meditation. So morning is the best time, but in my experience, I've meditated in the afternoon also, evening also, night also. There are different types of meditations that you can do in the night, which can help you sleep, and very calming, relaxing meditations. So any time is absolutely fine, as long as you can take out like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, it's all good.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there's a student who's asked that what is your opinion on meditation apps like Calm, Headspace, etc.?
Oh, I think they're amazing. How technology has helped us to get through this point that we don't have to go to different gurus and sadhus to seek these teachings. So it's very convenient, and it's really important that we use these apps. You can start with using these apps, grow your practice how much ever you want. And then when you want a more serious practice is when you can go for a retreat, is when you can actually, go to some yogic ashram or a Buddhist monastery. And but these apps are amazing. Please go ahead and use these apps.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the last question for the evening from you. There's a student who has posed the question: meditation is always viewed from a very spiritual aspect, something higher beings do. How can we make it a part of our everyday life?
So yeah, it is viewed as something that a lot very spiritual people do. I've come across people who've like judged me because I meditate. I've come across people who've like, what is this nonsense that you're doing? Why are you just sitting? What can you really accomplish by that? But believe me, I mean, it's not really just a spiritual practice. It's really helped me transform the kind of work that I do. It's helped me transform my own health. I used to have a lot of health issues. I mean, I won't really say that it's cured everything, but believe me, it's cured a lot. So it's like an everyday thing that you have to imbibe, and you have to encourage people to imbibe. It's not about just for monks, it's not for nuns, it's not for sadhus. This is what a lot of CEOs of companies are doing. This is what a lot of founders, co-founders. Steve Jobs used to meditate so much. The author who wrote *Sapiens*, if any of you read that book, it's an amazing book. He goes for vipassana meditation for 45 days at a stretch. And so regular people are meditating and seeing the effects of meditation. And in fact, the company I work for KFC, the burger chicken company. So my own GM, my own CEO, they meditate, and we have wonderful conversations around meditation. And it's very mainstream now. And I mean, I would encourage all of you to, if you can persuade your family members, your friends, your patients to make it more mainstream. not just for the Southern.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Even more so for sharing such a pivotal and vulnerable moment of your life. That also meditation does not come easy to an anxious mind, or like you said, you have a monkey mind, to also accept the state of mind the way it is. With studies that have shown results of how much it affects our physiology, and especially being the living example of how it has given you the power to break forth from the depression and anxiety, and in turn cultivate your own peace and happiness. I am sure all of us will make it a point to reserve those 2 minutes in our days. Thank you, ma'am. Now we would like to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Vishakha Punjani. She has completed her MA in clinical psychology from University of Mumbai. She has worked as a consultant counselor at Pre-Litigation Center in the High Court of Bombay. She is the co-founder of Astitva Clinic. Astitva Clinic aids in psychiatry, neurodevelopment in pediatrics, and its clinical interventions. Apart from that, she has also worked as a junior consultant researcher at Department of Evolution and Neuroscience at University of Oxford, UK. Ms. Panjwani is also a visiting professor at Ruia College at University of Bombay. We call upon Ms. Vishakha Punjani to enlighten us with her words.
Thank you so very much, Manpreet. Hello and good evening, Dr. Meghna Basu. I'm so glad that I'm coming in here. It's homecoming for me. I would also want to thank Raheja College and WCCI for having me on panel. All right. Hi, Tanya. Hi, Mohit. Hi, Koral. Hi, Aditi. Hi, Shrija. A few of them, you all were so kind enough to message me that you all are waiting to hear me. Sweet messages. I think that helped me to combat my pre-anxiety before talking in here. Hi, Prerna. Aditi, how can I forget Aditi? Because she was coordinating. Hi, Param. Good to see you. Yeah. And everybody whom I'm missing. Yeah. So to start with, for the very first time, I don't have the presentation. It was Sunday, and I think it was self-care. So I actually chose not to wear Indians and come in my Levi t-shirt and have no presentation and talk to you wonderful students who are here. I think one way describes all of you to be there on a Sunday evening, says how much self-care matters to each of you. Right? So a quick question to each one of you. Please, you can unmute and say, what is self-care for you? Or how would you define it? Apart from the WHO, okay? That's already done by Dr. Kersey. Quickly, give one adjective.
Loving yourself.
Fantastic. Okay. Anybody else?
Doing nothing for some reason.
Doing nothing. That's my favorite too. Okay.
Comfort.
Yes, which I am in right now.
Shopping.
Anything? Shopping, yes. Yes, retail therapy is what the commercial language says. Yes, it's for me as well.
Putting
Empathy. Yes,
putting
yes,
yourself
Khushi,
first.
sorry. Putting yourself first. Fantastic. That's one of the points that I'm going to do today. Teach you all as a part of self-care. Yes. Tanya, were you saying something? Okay. All right. So as respecting yourself and your body. Yes. So as we start with self-care, here's wishing each one of you a very happy International that somewhere each one of you are taking care, and hence all are here smiling bright in front of me. So let's pat ourselves, please. Let's do that. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Shrija, for wishing me the same. My second question, is there a difference between rewarding yourself and self-care? And give me examples, okay? Because I'm not teaching you all. So I wanted to make it more one-on-one. So is there a difference when I say rewarding yourself and self-care? Definitely.
Yes,
okay, tell me.
When we say we are rewarding ourselves, it's something like we are doing something good, and then we are rewarding ourselves like we achieve something, we are getting good marks, and then we are rewarding ourselves like buying something good for ourselves. But when we say self-care, it's more like even though there's nothing that we achieved, but still we are taking care about ourselves without any thinking that, yeah, we have achieved something, but no, we are just taking care of like for nothing.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
I think we call it a cheat day. We reward ourselves, right? But we go to the
Yes.
gym because we're taking care of ourselves. So
Correct.
that's a very, I think it's very easy to
Perfect.
differentiate these things like that.
Yes, yes, right. But how many times do we sit on the couch and think that, oh, yes, I've ordered a pizza, or I'm going for a hot spa, or I've done my dental flossing, and I'm watching TV. I'm like a goofball. I'm wearing my most comfortable clothes, is all the self care. How many times have we manipulated our own self doing this? Have we? Have we not? We can be true here.
We have.
We have a lot of times. Yeah, right. So here, one reminder. See, let me tell you that I really like speaking to all you students. And each time I come in, I always say that I just come in as a reminder to each one of you, because all of us know these things, but this just comes in as a reminder. So let's make the most of it. So as correctly, there is a different, we take one super microsecond, to manipulate our thought and say that, yes, ये तो self-care में ही होता है ना यार. आज मैं बैठकर I'll do my skincare routine. I'll have kokum sharbat to look good. I'll apply ghee on my face. I'll make honey massage for my hair. And now I'm feeling so good. Right? But there certainly is a difference, because what happens is when I'm talking about rewarding myself, I know what the outcome is going to be. Okay. But when I'm talking about self care, it's something that is transient and which we have difficulty doing. How many times do we have a new year? Bus, I'm going to do this. Okay. Then if it's Friday that we have this eureka moment that you want to start something and like, nahi yaar, Monday se karte hain. Right? आज तो 10 तारीख है, so let me start from 15th, so it becomes 15 to 30, it will be easy to track. Right? And then for so much time, it's only a reward, but no self-care in my understanding. Right? And if we have no self-care, do we become author of our life, or do we become the victim of our life? What do we? Victim?
The victim for sure.
Victim for sure, right? Now this is known to us. Victim. Wow, everybody's. So I might just look down is because I've connected through my phone. I'm just reading people's messages. Okay. Yeah. So all of you agree that we are a victim. What are we doing about it? Yeah. So I was actually, before I joined in, I heard a tad bit of Dr. Kursi. I heard a tad bit of Jasleen Madam, just to understand what are they talking about. I actually opened the newspaper. I'm like, okay, is there anything about International Self-Care Day? And let me highlight that and get it. And I see it nowhere. Right? And most of the times when we read, what are we reading? Exercise regularly, eat well, get your productivity levels high, have a routine, have social relationships. I know this. So most of the times I know students like, madam, we know this, but how do we do it? So today I'm going to teach you all a 3-pointer. Okay. You all don't have to do it as a part of your homework, but if you all think it's making sense, try doing it. Okay. You all will see an outcome. All right. So first is start with giving yourself a rational. All of us have rational review of literature, right? As we were studying. So I'm going back to what we have studied only. So something called as a rational. Rational basically means that, okay, Vishakha, why are you doing what you are doing? Yeah. And most of the times there is a confusion. We say that it's like we don't look at what and how we can work towards self-care, but we stop there and say that we should have self-care, right? And when we say we should have self-care, the confusion is distorted. And then we have to go back to that, okay, how can we implement it, right? So A would be giving yourself amazing rationals. Rationals will help you to understand why, who, for, what. So for example, personal example, I was working almost 12 to 14 hours a day. I was recently keeping unwell for 3.5 weeks. Yes, being a therapist. And everybody's like, oh, how could you? I'm like, I am a human first. And I thought that probably I'll manage through, and I couldn't. It's that time when I had to sit with myself and give myself a rationale that, okay, why was a holiday needed? Or why I should have at least minimized the number of hours. What did Vishakha do being a therapist? She waited until she burnt out. right? Most of us do that. Irrespective if Vishaka is a therapist also, most of us do that. Vishaka was burned out. And then during burnout, what happens? There is crisis. I wanted immediate results. That okay, how can I get back? My patients are calling. I have to, give a lecture. So and so, so and so, so and so. So before that, before the fuel of the car of yourself goes to reserve, it gives you an indicator. We take that indicator and we give ourselves a rational. All right. Second, while we are moving ahead, so now I know this is a rational. Second, that we would be working is on provision of choice. Are all of us given certain choices? We always say na कि हाँ okay ये नहीं मैं ये करूँगी, अभी नहीं ये तभी करूँगी, right? So we need to pick up what the choices are. And definitely, after we have a choice, we are going to sit and have a conflict with our choices. Because should I see a 8:30 patient, or should I complete by 7 p.m. that says on paper that I'm only here till 7 p.m. and then go for a jog or the run? It is always going to be, I'm always in a dichotomy. And I think most of you all will agree, you're right. Okay, should I go to my friend's birthday? Or should I attend the lecture? Or should I just cross across National College के सामने my favorite sandwich वाला है उसका sandwich खाए कि Dr. Meghna Basu attendance लेगी and I have to go attend the lecture. It happens. Okay, let's all be true. Ma'am, sorry if I'm saying this. Yeah, so all of us do this, right? But again over here, we need to, I think Jocelyn very well put across is like how consistency plays in a role over here, right? So today when I thought, I'm like, I'm not going to talk about, do cooking or go for a jog or go bird watching or watch your colonies around. I'm like, I'm going to tell them how they can actually do. All right. So these three things we will pay attention to. Now, moving ahead of this, tell me how many of y'all have actually done something for your own self? And here, no DIY beauty, and over here, no skincare. I'm talking something for your own self. How many of you? Okay, me. Now, when you tell me, I'm going to ask you for examples. Huh? So please give me a one-liner. Okay, what have you done for yourself? Okay, Khushi Jaiswal, if you can talk, if you can unmute, if it allows you.
Ma'am, I learned painting for myself because I was very interested in art.
Uh-huh.
It is considered that I did it for myself because I wanted to do it.
Okay, yes, reading counts, but imagine, just think of it, is reading rewarding or is reading self-care? Solo trip to my native place. Okay, so this is for you. For me, self-care is making a good meal. Okay, fair. Can I tweak the self-care, as I'm a therapist and I'm a psychologist, can I tweak it for you? So I'll tell you, I've actually written down what we have to actually work on as stops. When I was sitting today and I'm like, I do not want to forget anything. How did I work? And that's exactly what I'm going to share with you guys. Okay, so I will tell you. So how many times have we done something when we do not want to do for our friends? How many times I have eaten a dish I do not want to eat, but the majority of the group people were ordering that? How many times did I say, hey, no, today I don't feel like coming and meeting you? How many times did I really don't believe in Happy Valentine's Day, but I yet wished my partner Happy Valentine's Day because that was his expectation? Have you done that? Sorry, I tweaked your self-care because I feel self-care for the mind is this. Your little architects inside, they need care equally as your body does. So we've done that, right? And then on Instagram, I see different young people speaking about boundaries. And probably most of you were here also liking it. But we never associated that setting a boundary, learning to say a no, standing up for yourself, and probably just standing up even if you've done a mistake, or going and apologizing that, hello, Meghna madam, I'm sorry, I couldn't attend the lecture because I choose to do this. Yeah. And then we get in the web of lies. And then we go putting cucumber in our eyes. Yeah, because it starts coming out. It's the internal, no, that starts coming out. And what do we work on? We work on the external. Oh my God, I'm PMSing a pimple. Oh my God, I'm stressed. I have exams, my hair fall. We start working on the external. I think, isn't it time that we work towards the internal? I love the question one of you asked, Jasleen madam, that what is the difference between mindfulness and meditation? And there in my mind, I was screaming that, okay, listen, mindfulness is quality. Meditation is a practice. Like that's the first thing that came into my mind. I was like, she's a professional, I will let her speak, but I'm making a point to put that across to you guys, that if you're not working on the internal, how much are you going to try covering the external? The best part is हम कितना भी फाउंडेशन लगाते हैं और पसीने में बाहर निकलते तो वो फाउंडेशन भी रन हो जाता है नीचे. होता है नहीं होता है? होता है. मस्कारा भी कितना ही 72 आवर्स लॉन्गिंग है निकल जाता है. Right? Perfect. So here I would want you all, so I've written a very nice line, compassionately accepting yourself for who you are instead of burning out. Now, acceptance, guys, is a very huge term in therapy, which I think we use very loosely, including myself. But when I mean acceptance, can we allow ourselves to feel what you're feeling? I think your self-care would be done there. You just have to allow yourself to feel. When you say that I'm sitting as a couch potato, what are you doing? You're just trying to feel good. You want to be away from your thoughts. But when we are rewarding ourselves by watching TV or ordering the pizza, I'm not paying attention to exactly what I'm feeling, but I'm compensating probably by eating and waiting for the internal to go up and say, hey, dopamine, hey, serotonin, oh, I'm feeling so good. Please take those efforts. I'm saying that after I fell ill for 3.5 weeks. Being a therapist, so-called, everybody pointed fingers to me that, oh, how come as a therapist, where was your self-care? Okay. So now I'm going to tell you all have to find out different ways that you all can decompress how your day was. And I would want to put across, it's not only about journaling. It's not only about writing how your day was or speaking to somebody when you just pick up the phone and talk. It's during that time that I would want you all to wait. Don't get the immediate gratification of calling a friend and venting out. Wait, feel that. That's when you're synchronizing with your internal and external. And I'm sure that baggage would be left then and there. You do not have to take in any external efforts to do so. And anything, if it seems not doable, I'm going to give you all 10 minutes to put in questions and we'll talk on that. Okay. Now I have written some 5 stops that I want you all to do, because I always think as a therapist and whenever I'm talking, on any days or as a panelist, people always say what we should do. Again, the way I tweak self-care, I'm tweaking what we should not do. Right? Because we always keep saying, why me? Why me? Why is this happening to me? Why me? Stop. Why not me? Okay. So tell me, Vishakha, what are the ways? But Vishakha is not going to tell you the ways. Vishakha is going to tell you what you can stop, because that's easier, right? That's how the mind works. Right. So I've written a few. You all can add all the more. Okay. I'm still sitting with paper and pencil. I've written right now also while I'm talking to you guys. So stop trying to control something you can't control. Hand, pencil. If the pencil is on the palm, I have control. If the pencil is on the fingers, I don't have as much as control as much I'll have it in the palm, right? Because I consider these spaces, okay, as my environmental factors. So मैंने ये उसको ये बोला, उसने भी मुझे सामने बोला का reaction भी depend करता है. तो उसने जो बोला is the space here. Okay, so we stop that. Stop trying to change something that isn't changing. If you know it is not changing, you put yourself on a timeline that, okay, I will wait for this time. If it doesn't, I will move out. But what do? We keep nudging. We keep mulling. We actually we keep a few statements also as a revenge or as a comeback, or right now so-called putting a sarcastic comments to give back to our friends and our colleagues. That yes, I'm going to preserve this and use it as a mental weapon when she says that, right? Stop trying to help someone who doesn't want you help. So a very dear colleague of mine, who was my co-mentor too, her name was Heta Shah. She's a joint founder with me. She very well put across that, Vishakha, you know what? Who need help, they'll come to you. We can't go keeping asking, do you want help or no? right? So you need to wait. If they want, they'll come to you. If they don't want, you can't keep giving them help. So stop there. And understand it will be very difficult for you to do that, because for now it's become a practice for us. Stop doing something even though you've always done it that way. I will take this train at this time. I will take this bus. I will share a auto by so much and I will do that. Yeah, okay, stop it. No, for once, take a different route on purpose. Today is Tuesday. I always eat sabudana khichdi. Today, don't eat sabudana khichdi. Today, probably just have piyush and be happy. And see how the differences, does have an impact. But strangely, because when it comes to physical outlook, you can go to the gym, you have pre and post. But sometimes I really wonder that I really have to put in so much of emphasis for people to do, because mentally I don't have a pre and post. I can't go and show you that, hey, listen, see, now your neurons are dancing this way. Or, probably now they've got longer and now they've got shortened. I can't do that. But you need to trust that it is happening. Okay. Stop moving forward without asking to yourself, what do I want? Where am I trying to go? All of us are a race. Verified account chiye. This counselor has so much. She's talking so well. My friends have so much followers. Itna likes hua. Main 9 baje dalungi. Where are you trying to go? Stop. Where are you trying to go? Okay. Is this working? A very important question. Is it working for you? Probably honey amla paste will work well for my hair, but probably would not work for you. Same way, probably a technique might help me, but probably not you. So stop and take your reflection. Where is it going? That's self-care. Huh? Sit with your own self and ask, hey, hi Vishaka, how are you doing? And trust me, you'll have an answer, which is you. That is so funny. And last one, what is this costing me? Yeah, when I was young in the field, I thought, yes, I'll do everything. No money doesn't matter. I will do this, I will do that. And then you just realize that how after a certain point of time on the timeline, your time, energy, everything is soaked. You've burned out without figuring what has it costed you, right? So these are the stops. And then I would conclude, as I'm on a timeline exactly at 6:20. What can you stop doing today? If any one of you can answer this, it'll be really nice. And don't put it as a thing that if I've told Vishakha today, that means I'm going to continue. No. But while I was speaking, you were having your internal monologue as well, right? Y'all could relate to some, y'all could not relate to some. Mohit is there trying to cover his yawn. Mohit, drink water. Yeah. Right? So what are you going to stop today? If any of you can speak, it'll be nice. And then I take all questions. Anybody? Like with myself, I was contemplating, okay, should I wear a white Levi? Should I wear Indian and put a bindi the way I am? And I'm like, nah, Sunday. I'll tell my students, please give me a concession on this, because it's the work that matters. So yes, quickly, what are you going to stop today after what? Or any other stops that you want to bring to my notice? This was just, I was writing down, before I was speaking to you guys. So any stops that you all want to do?
I think, ma'am, stop blaming yourself for not being a perfectionist all the time. It's okay to make mistakes.
I totally agree, Dr. Meghna. Like we always have this thing, right? That no, I want to reach there, or I want to do this. And then we keep manipulating that, no, it's not my mistake, it's the environment. Yes, I totally agree. It's nice when you can confront and say that, yes, it's my mistake and I'm sorry. I agree. Any other stops? And I'm so glad that it's coming from Dr. Meghna, who is a professor. And I'm sure she wouldn't take a minute to say that, oh, I'm so sorry, Vishaka. I think I don't agree to you. Or I'm so sorry, Vishaka. I couldn't meet you before. I'm sure she would do that. Like irrespective of disparity, that I have been her student and she's been my mentor, like indirectly. Any stops? Okay. So
ma'am, I think, like you said, like you spoke about reward, sometimes what happens is that we are feeling something, and just to divert ourselves from that thought, we either end up watching TV or ordering something so that we immediately feel better. So we don't process what we are feeling and we distract ourselves with things that we like. So if I am feeling off about something, I will stop trying to distract myself with things that I like and rather self introspect and think and process my feelings, even though it might be uncomfortable or difficult to do so. So I would stop
You're
doing that.
absolutely right. Can I please have your name?
My name is Manpreet Kaur, ma'am.
Manpreet. Sorry, Manpreet, I couldn't see you on the screen. Yes, I think it's totally right that most of the time. So I'll give you a homework over here. Sit with yourself for around 10 to 12 minutes, absolutely doing nothing. And you will see yourself finding reasons to be engaged with. May it be your mind will manipulate you. May it be like, okay, you're just sitting, probably listen to music or listen to instrumental, go on the window and see who's doing what. Probably, oh, it's the bell has rang, so I have to go open the door. You will see that. Because finally, when you're stopping, when you're pausing, okay, remember your brain never pauses. We are always taught that pause. Okay, you physically can stop and pause, but the one inside is always working. Even while you're sleeping, while you're doing anything, it's working. But when you say pause, when I mean stop or pause over here, would just be in a way that let it have the full oxygen that it is getting. Because when we are distracted, it's divided, right? So give him attention. He's a little kid, yeah? He just wants to know how well you are doing. He's a little kid. Just stop and ask him, hey, hi, how are you doing? So I completely agree, Manpreet, of what you said, that yes, we are afraid, we are embarrassed, we get very vulnerable. But if you wait there, your half work is done. I agree. Yes, we have questions, but if either of you could read it for me, please. And we take in quick because I don't want to delay, because the first two speakers were very kind enough to maintain their time boundary. I'll do so.
Okay, ma'am. We have a question by Prerna. What measures do we have to take if we have reached the burnout stage? So if we have reached there, how do we get out of it?
If we've reached burnout stage, that means we have spoken to our family, we've spoken to our friends. Probably it's just internal insight that we are having, that we are not able to be as productive as we used to be, or probably there is just comparison happening of what you were 5 years before and what you are right now. You need to measure your intensity. So irrespective that you've tried working on yourself, if that's not happening, probably seek therapy. People, one misconception what people have is only when you are burned out and only when there are certain concerns and signs and symptoms is when you have to visit a therapist. But I beg to differ to each one of you listening to me over here, that therapy is also that if you are here, okay, how can you make it better here? And even if you can't reach here, how can I maintain it here? Is what therapy can help you with. So I hope that answered your question. Very manipulative, yes, but hope it answers.
Thank you, ma'am. There is another question by Aditi. She's asked, how can we balance self-care and caring for others? Because self-care usually means you have to put yourself first sometimes.
Yes.
So how do we maintain that balance while protecting ourselves and, while maintaining self-care?
When will you be present for others? When you yourself will exist. Right? Like I still remember when I was working at Sion Hospital and I saw a person who needed immediately a certain blood group, which mine and his matched. And I actually asked my head of the department that, sir, could I please go give? And that's when I was learned that if every patient, okay, we are working with, if requires, and imagine for every patient, do I sit and I start giving blood, would I exist? I wouldn't. So it's not about putting yourself first. Let's say that you're taking some time to work on yourself, and then you're easily available for others. So example I would want to put in here, we just pick up the phone and say, hey, hi, my day was so and so. Just small alteration. Hey, hi, I needed to speak on certain things that might consume you mentally. Can I please ask for a few minutes? So there, in case if you're not, and if you're putting yourself first, the opposite person knows that you're not in the state of mind to listen to them. So there you're striking a balance between both yourself and others.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
No problem.
As professionals in the field and even students, we push ourselves beyond our limit, and the burnout almost drowns us. To learn how important it is to compassionately accept ourselves for who we are, understand how crucial these 5 stops are, especially in our lives. Even a simple thing such as changing a route in our days can exhilarate and spark us out of the monotony. All of us are in our own race, but we all need to take a pit stop and make it work for us. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, each one of you.
Thank you. Uh, thank you so much, Vishakha. I'm sorry there's a little disturbance, but thank you once again. On a
No
Sunday,
problem.
I can completely understand what Sunday means to all of us, and especially with you with so many patients during the week.
Yes.
But it's
Yes.
always an honor and pleasure to have you with us and
Thank
share your
you.
thing. And I
Thank
think
you
you can
so very
see
much.
from the chat box so many questions still coming in, and it's always nice to have you with us.
Likewise, ma'am. Thank you so very much for always having me. Thank you. And
Thank
thank you,
you.
each one of you, for being here. Okay, each one of you. Thank you, and good luck to the other speakers who are speaking. I'm waiting for some time, but I'm just signing out. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Now we would like to call upon Mrs. Toral Bansali. Toral ma'am has years and years of experience in the Ayurvedic industry. She has won several awards and her contribution to society is tremendous. Her tips and tricks on how to maintain our physical and mental health right from our own kitchen has influenced many of us to take care of our mind, body, and soul. She is the owner and founder of Mind Body Spirit Connect Ayurveda and has worked most with the geriatrics. In spite of her busy schedule, she has taken time out today to motivate us to take care of ourselves through homely and easily available products. We now invite Mrs. Toran Bansali to enlighten us on this topic. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, can you all hear me? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Hi.
Okay, it's 8 a.m. I hope I look fresh. Hello, thank you all. Thank you for the psychology department of both RDSH College as well as LS Raja College and Maharashtra Public Service Council. So as introduced already, I'm Toral and I live here in Chicago and I have an Ayurvedic health consultancy practice here. So I'm a bit nervous today because I've been appointed and expected to say something really meaningful to all of you and something that you'll really remember through the life. Well, that alone puts great pressure on me and a great sense of responsibility because so I looked back to my own college days in India and thought, okay, let me pick up what was important then. And reflecting on those days didn't help at all. In my college days, there was indeed a lot of talk about me being successful in college, me landing a great job, me landing a great career and a great partner. And, and then me taking care of everyone around me. But there was never a talk about me, taking care of me and myself, although that I was the center of it all. So today I will give you something you will remember for the rest of your lives, and that is you. Yes, you. You are the sum total of your physical, psychological, emotional self, as you all know. You guys are students of psychology. But so in a nutshell, when you take care of you, you've got half of your life sorted. And perhaps someday, when you take care of you, you might be invited to talk about yourself at a seminar like this. But if you don't, trust me, someone else will end up taking care of you, which will definitely be more expensive, more time consuming, and more painful in the long run. So, what I want to share with you today is what I know. And what I know that over the course of last 35 years after leaving India, I've learned over time is just few simple tricks and tips to self-care. So before I start my story, before I start with the presentation, I just want to share a quick story. So I went to a reputed college in Churchgate. Fate brought me here to the US 36 years ago, and I quickly soaked in the Western culture. It was the easiest and the coolest thing to do then. Immerse myself in fast food, a faster life, cold drinks, internet binging, few weekly trips to the gym, multitasking, stressing, working, stressing some more. But you know what? All was okay because everything was going fine. But I ignored some minor symptoms that my body was sending in. Brittle nails, partial insomnia, fatigue, lack of energy, minor digestive issues in the stomach. But I didn't care. As I said, I went on. And then a small little episode turned into a big one. I had a major breakage of bones, and the injury turned out to be a blessing and an alarm call to change my lifestyle. I paid a huge price by not taking care of myself, doing everything else but taking care of myself, and eventually, with the help of Ayurveda, turned myself around. And it's quite an irony now, being an Indian, having to learn Ayurveda here in the West, and now talking about it from halfway across the world to you, about a treasure trove of self-care that Ayurveda offers. And it emerged over 5,000 years ago. It's a life science telling us how to conduct the business of life. It's not just a diet fad. It's tried and tested over decades and hundreds of years, and it's still relevant to this day. So I'll ask a few questions to you, whoever feels and chooses to unmute, because if you thought this was going to be a regular presentation where I'm talking and you guys are logged in, would listen, and that's not what that's not what you signed up for. This is going to be a dialogue. So if one of you can tell me, or maybe one or two organizers, you can probably unmute, what bugs you in a given day, and keeps you from being happy. Maybe one of you can answer that question. Second question would be, what bothers you in your body? What's surfacing up at any given time of the day? What stresses you the most? What keeps you from performing the best and having the best day? Anyone, please?
Ma'am, for me, something that bothers me every day is my self-doubt. I really doubt myself a lot for every single thing, even like waking up, going to the college, even sitting for a lecture. Even though I know the answer, I'm not going to answer it to ma'am because I'm going to be like, no, maybe it's wrong. Maybe I am going wrong. Maybe it's me. So I think it's self-doubt.
Okay. Anyone else? Anything physical? Anything else coming up for anyone?
Ma'am, I feel like I get tired very easily. Even though I'm having all my meals on time, I'm not skipping anything. I still feel like I lose energy very quickly. Even though my work schedule is not very physically hectic, I just go to college and I come home. In that short span of time, I feel like I lose energy very quickly.
Okay. All right. So, hopefully you all can agree that some of the issues that you mentioned, and I'm sure people who haven't answered, but I'm sure people are feeling things that are taking them down during a day, and those are the issues that impact pretty much youth all around the world. Work stressors, social stressors, timelines, scarcity of time, sleep deprivation, fatigue, as one of you mentioned, money crunch. Now, if you have accepted these as your reality, as a status quo, then information that I'm about to share is going to be irrelevant. But I have full confidence in you guys that at some point in your lives, you have sought for solutions for the problems that you face. And I don't want to label it as problems, challenges, physically, emotionally, psychologically, whatever you face. So we have to accept one thing, that all these problems technically boil down to just two things. One is body and the second is mind. So what if you had a manual to thrive? A manual to thrive, to master these two things, body and mind, by using your own kitchen as pharmacy and food as medicine. So, and that manual is Ayurveda. That manual, which the West is waking up to by embracing intermittent fasting, superfoods, power yoga, mindfulness, meditation. And now the East is buying that after it's being packaged in glossy terms and shiny benefits. But I'm confident that you all are smart enough to not fall for that trap. Your generation will acknowledge the gifts that our culture has to offer in terms of self-care and implement that in day-to-day life, because you all are so well worth it, so worth it. So in the meantime, here is self-care in simple, easy, intuitive, desi lingo for all of us here. Self-care is personal, individual. It can mean different things to different people, right? It could be going to a movie, indulging in a piece of cake, going for a manicure. Nonetheless, the common thread in all of these practices is a practice that leaves you rejuvenated, feeling recharged, relaxed, happy, and healthy. That means you're probably not going to find a self-care on Instagram anywhere, because you are you and you need a unique self-care practice for yourself, right? So being aware, awareness is a very crucial part of self-care. Being aware of what's surfing up for you at any given time. Am I feeling something funky in my stomach after eating something? One of you said about energy. I mean, that's a great point there. You are aware that this is happening. Unless you're aware, you're never going to acknowledge and have, acknowledge that you have an issue and you need to fix it, right? So paying attention to how you feel after you eat, after you rest, after how you handling work stresses. So simply put, once you are aware what you feel at any given moment, you will know what to do about it to make you feel good. So I'm so excited to offer this manual of Ayurveda because it's about to make your life easier and independent. Life free of dependence or prescriptions or prescriber. That means more time and more of money available to you. I could make this presentation very simply about herbs, few teas, meds, and things that you can take and pack you off, and until you hear another health speech someplace else telling you what to eat, what's a superfood. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you a toolbox, a revolutionized way of thinking that Ayurveda came up with 5,000 years ago, and looking at things so you feel empowered to decide what's good for you. Something like give a man a fish and he'll eat for one day. Teach him how to fish and he's going to eat for the rest of the life. How are we doing with time, by the way? Are we at anyone? Are we at 10 minutes?
And there is time. You have 10 minutes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Okay. That said, let's get started. Organizers, can you put the first image up for me, please? Thank you. So the image is going to come up soon here. The image shows there are 20 qualities that can be used to describe thank you, Taiba, that can be used to describe every substance or experience in our universe. So their grouping into the 10 pairs of opposites makes it very easy to grasp how the concept works and how we can actually put it in practicality. Okay, so one, for example, here you see heavy and light, dull against sharp. So technically everything in universe has these 20 basic qualities, okay, the 10 pairs. So for example, and then one principle that you see up top, it says like attracts like and opposite creates balance. So it's simple. Okay, just go with this simple formula. For example, if one is looking for like popcorn, okay, popcorn, you can perhaps read from this list, will feel light, will feel rough, will feel dry in your mouth, right? I mean, and this is something you'll see once you get intuitive. You'll be able to tell the qualities of the substances. Okay, fire, for example, in the list of qualities will be hot, sharp, and piercing and drying, right? Depression, let's see what the qualities of depression could be. Depression could be heavy, dull, dense, static, right? It's not, you don't have a mobility in depression, it stagnates you. So as you, with these examples, you can see that these qualities exist in everything we experience, food, taste, whatever. Okay, now, as I told you, remember that like attracts like and opposite creates balance. So if one is looking for feeling of lightness, drying, and so popcorn is going to be good for them at that point, because it's going to increase that lightness, roughness, dryness in their body. But if he or she needs to feel grounded and moist, that person perhaps needs to ingest, for example, paneer. Paneer is moist, dense, and heavier. And again, don't take my word for this. Next time you put paneer in your mouth, you'll feel there's this satiation happens after you eat paneer. Popcorn is something that you'll keep popping. Chips, you want to keep popping and having more of that. So if one is wanting to pull themselves out of heavy thoughts, depression such as that, you will need to turn to activities opposite of static. You need to get mobile, right? You need to have energetic, sharp, light thoughts or activities. Now, if they continue to watch the saddening news that the media keeps projecting, brood on heavy thoughts, they're only going to attract more dejection and sadness, because the principle says like attracts like and opposite creates balance. The point is the need to notice the qualities of all that you eat, drink, feel, experience at any given time. Okay, so hold on that point. Just keep this number one in point. Next slide, please, Taiba. So the next block that the Ayurveda builds on, and I'm going to kind of make it's an age-old science. So for me to put it in a nutshell of 20 minutes, I've tried my best, but I'm going to go over. And then if this is interesting, you can dive deeper. Send me an email. I can share a few blogs that will, give you more knowledge around it. So now, next block that Ayurveda says, okay, you've got your 20 qualities. Now you've got these 5 elements that every substance, everything in the universe and nature is made of. And those are earth, water, fire, air, and space. Everything in the nature set is made out of these blocks. That said, in a given substance, 1 or 2 elements are typically predominant over the others. For example, vata here is, the vata becomes humor, like a body humor. Okay, that element, that vata dosha, as we call it, is made out of space and air. Okay, so that, because it's space and air, vata dosha, and I'll explain to you how that building block of this dosha expresses in life, is going to be more dry, light, cold, rough, and subtle. And pitta is made out of fire and water, as you see. So it's going to be hot, sharp, light, mobile, and oily quality to it, and so on and so forth. Slide 3, please. What happens is, Ayurveda says that when the vata qualities, remember the dry, cool, rough qualities are expressing in a person, these three, it results in a particular physical build. So depending on what elements are expressing in your body, it'll determine your physical build, your sleeping patterns. You're going to be shocked once you start being aware, it impacts your appetite, energy availability, set of personality traits, how you deal with emotions and challenges. So that will be controlled and dictated by the elements that are expressing in your, so Vata type, body type, will be more linear, more thin, more petite. They will be lending themselves more to, constipation, because constipation is dryness in body. So do you see how these dry, rough qualities, okay, Vatas are also very mobile. Quality of air is very mobile. So those are the people who have a ton of thoughts, hard to fall off to sleep, those kind of qualities, as against a Kapha person has, next slide, please. Number 4 slide. Okay, so here we go. Actually, if you can see, now we've combined, we are stacking. On top, you're seeing the 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. In the second row, you're seeing the qualities that we talked about, the number, which was cold, light, dry, mobile, subtle. That's the Vata type. If you see, the Vata types are going to be more thin, petite, not necessarily petite, but more thin, linear. And the Pitta types have medium body types, but they have fiery qualities. So they digest, they have very high metabolism. They're sharp to, understand intellectual or any capacities. They're very sharp in their minds. And then Kaphas are that go-to friend that you can depend on. They're very measured because they have the qualities of heaviness, denseness, smoothness. So that's that person, your friend, who you can, they're going to give you sound advice every time you go. They're going to not blurt out things. They're going to measure everything, what's going on. Okay, so let's go to, so as you see, the 3 doshas are Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vatas are going to be mostly air and spacey. Pittas are going to be mostly fire, and Kaphas are going to be mostly earth. Each type has its own tendencies, as we, so some Vatas are going to be more airy, Pittas are going to be more fiery, and Kaphas are going to be more earthy. Slide 5, please. And they will have their individual qualities. I'm sorry, this hasn't come out very clear, but Vatas, the first column, because of their rough, dry, cold qualities, they'll have dry skin. They will be, they'll have, as I told you, insomnia, spotty hair loss, anxiety. Anxiety is a very mood swings. So this is very telltale signs of Vatas, as against Pittas will be prone to burning, indigestion. They will have skin rashes. They'll have more skin issues, burning in the skin, inflammation in the body, and so on and so forth. Slide 6, please. So now most of us have 2 primary doshas, and only small percentage of people have all 3. Okay, so presenters can perhaps share these slides, whoever wants to, and you'll be able to tell where you land on this, on these 3 doshas. So now, person who is going to experience a Vata imbalance is going to have excess of, as I told you, poor circulation, dry skin. So now the point is, we are going to take the qualities, and we remember what we have to do. We have to kind of turn it around and balance it with the opposite quality. So a Vata person, next slide, please. A Vata person is going to need more warming, moistening things. So what's going to be for Vata best will be, grounding things that are like going to be dense in their body, because that'll ground them physically and emotionally. Routines in their life will prevent anxiety. Pittas, as against that, I'm so sorry, this gray slide is again, grains. The Pittas benefit very well from bitter tastes, sweeter taste. When I talk about sweet, is grains, whole grains, legumes, sweet fruits, and kaphas, as against that, is going to benefit from lighter grains like quinoa, barley, corn. Now, the same thing for vata, it's going to increase their. So do you see, there's nothing one fits all. What I love about Ayurveda is everyone is unique. So if you're a kapha type who experiences qualities like moistness, denseness in their body, you have to opt for lighter, airier things, drying things that are going to be more astringent, something that will, kind of dry your moisture within the body. So this is basically how you marry the qualities and the 5 elements. These are the 2 building blocks. And as I told you and promised you, this kind of helps you master your body and mind, because at any given time, if I'm experiencing pitta imbalance, I am struggling with acidity in my stomach, and I'm going to go in and have an extremely spicy meal. You guys live in a very hot weather, so that's already adding fire to the fire. And you continue that for a week, 10 days, I assure you, you are headed for a judgmental attitude, sharper, frustration, anger, irritation. As against that, you cool yourself with, loving kindness meditation, cucumber juices, watermelon, mint, things that are going to cool you emotionally and physically, is going to counterbalance and bring you harmony and balance. So I perhaps went a few minutes over. I apologize, but I'm open to questions or any comments, please.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I request everyone to please type down a question in the chat box.
Yes, Mrs. Mansali, there is one question that is coming in the chat box. How does one, sorry, can I just read that to you? Is yoga part of Ayurveda?
Yes. Yoga is a sister science to Ayurveda. And it's so sad because in America alone, there are 250,000 plus people practicing yoga, and they've not heard yet about Ayurveda. And it's sad that's true of India as well, but it is absolutely a sister science, forgotten sister science of yoga, and a key to living life. That's what's the beauty about Ayurveda is when I embraced it, I told you my story, the transformation, healing took place at multiple levels. When I started ingesting the appropriate balancing foods, my mood changed. I don't have to, I'm 55 plus. I don't go to gym. Literally by eating balancing foods, drinks, balancing thoughts and emotions, depending on what I'm feeling at that particular moment, you can balance it. And it's most beautiful because it's most empowering lifestyle. So I hope I've answered that question.
Thank you. Another question from a student is, how can Ayurveda help in dealing with stress?
So stress, again, the very acknowledgement that you are dealing with, and stress expresses different things in different people, right? For someone, stress could mean anxiety, worry, whereas for someone, stress could mean almost like they become stagnated and heavy because they can't move with that stress. And for someone, stress just aggravates them more, and they become more fiery and more judgmental towards themselves, and they lose compassion. So first is being aware of how that stress is expressing in yourself, and then again, apply that principle. If you are feeling very frustrated, angry with everything that's happening in your life in that given day, so you know that you need compassionate, loving meditation, a prayer for yourself. Sit down just for a couple minutes. People think it's it's going to take time away, but it's not taking time away. It's taking time for yourself and cooling yourself. Or if that stress is making you heavy and dense, mobilizing your thoughts, get out and exercise, or get mobile, get airy and light, and be in the company of people who will get you out, get out of your media, get out of social media that's going to make you even. So balance it with what you are experiencing at any given time. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, there's another question. Does Ayurveda medicines, or does Ayurvedic medicines have side effects?
So Ayurveda, what's beautiful about Ayurveda is, and the reason I chose to become an Ayurvedic health consultant is, it opens up a dialogue of prevention, right? Contemporary medicine, healthcare in America is on fire because the crazy costs of medicines, tests that, and the same in India, it costs a bomb to get, go and sit 2 hours at a doctor's office, waiting in line. So why get to a point, think about prevention. So yes, Ayurveda offers medicines. It can have side effects. So it's very important to how and where to source these herbs from. First of all, they are herbs, and you have to go to a knowledgeable expert person. It's a very intuitive science, but if you really have heavy imbalances, acute chronic imbalances in your body, seek help from a professional, and then see what herbs and then you make sure that those herbs or medicines are sourced from a reputed Ayurvedic pharmacy, Kottakkal, Kerala Ayurveda. These have been around for ages, rather than going and finding it over the counter and popping it in. Don't self-medicate. And best, you guys are young. Start now and prevent. Why would you want to even get to a stage of popping herbs and medicines? If I'm prescribing you medicines, I'm no different from a doctor, right? I want to open the thought of dialogue of prevention, and that's where healthcare should move. So that's a long answer for your question.
That's a very interesting answer, and I think I completely resonate with you, Mrs. Bhansali, because I understand that with young students on board today, why should we move towards Ayurvedic medicine if we understand the three Pitta, Kapha, and we understand how to balance our mind with appropriate food? Because there are a lot of students asking this question, that how do we incorporate Ayurveda in a daily life? And I think from what you said, it is all from the kitchen, it's from the home, it's from understanding your body, understanding the type of body type, and then of course keeping a balance with the food you intake. Yes. So students, I definitely want to reach out and tell you, we've always had Mrs. Bhansali giving us such important tips, because this is something that fits in with all ages, the elderly, the young people, people of our age, mid 50s. This is such a home remedy, and it's so relaxing to hear that things are not difficult. We can start right away. Thank you so much for taking time out. It's an early morning for you. Thank you for always cooperating and adjusting your time with our Indian timing. It's always a pleasure to have you with us and share your tips, this time with the student population. Looking forward to many more such sessions, Mrs. Bhansali.
I thank you guys. Thank you, Meghna. It's been an amazing. I just got back from out of town trip, and I worked on this because I'm so excited to see, to start, when I'm seeing clients who are like 55, 60, the imbalances have set in. They're so deep rooted. I love talking to my goal and intent is to get this word out and, get excited about Ayurveda. And start young. And just to end with, just couple things I want to offer before I go is, start your day with a cup of warm water. move away from cold. No one, our body temperatures, we are supposed to be warm. Our gut, everything functions well at a warmer temperature. Go away from raw, cold, iced drinks. Start your day with warm water. Schedules. You understood that how schedules and routine helps a Vata type. And again, I don't want you to be boxing yourself. Pay attention to the qualities and see what's opposite. Good nutrition, routines, good sleep, meditation, even 2 minutes of closing your eyes and not doing a thing. That's serving you. That's self-care. So, and if anyone wants more tips, please feel free to write to me, and I'll be very happy to share those with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. Over to you, Manpreet.
Thank you.
Over to you, Manpreet.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Self-care is indeed personal and individual. It differs to each of us, and the resources online are immensely generic and have no backing. Your journey into Ayurveda is incredibly moving by saying the kitchen is pharmacy, food is medicine, and Ayurveda is the manual, shows us that how accessible these small things are and how they can transform our lives, the types of dosha, and how using this knowledge we can change ourselves. The tiniest of things, such as food, can impact us beyond our control. We thank you once again, ma'am, for sharing with us this perspective, one that roots so early in our society, one that also holds immense power to shape us. Thank you, ma'am. Our next segment is about physical health. Self-care is not just mental health, but also physical health. Exercise is one of the most transformative things that you can do for your brain. So I would like to call upon Mrs. Pallavi Vasant. She has completed her MPhil in clinical psychology and has been affiliated with this field for the last 8 years. She has worked as a clinical psychologist in many states like Rajasthan and Telangana. Currently, she is based in Mumbai and working with Filter app. Her interests align towards working in challenging environments, making use of her expert skills, seeking opportunities for learning, and concurrently being beneficial for the society. We would love to hear from you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Manpreet, and thank you for having me here. So, hello everyone, and it was a beautiful introduction. Just going a little forward and to break the barrier and make this conversation a little comfortable, and for you to know where I come from and what information I bring for your benefit today. So, I have been working, as Manpreet said, for the past 8 years, and I finished my graduation in Mumbai, my master's in Karnataka, and my MPhil in Rajasthan. So I have a gauge of people like from North India, South India, West India. It's just East India. Maybe I'll go there to do my PhD. So let's look into it later on. But I bring today some cases. So when I'm explaining things, I'll go through cases and I'll explain it. But before we go in that depth, let us understand why am I here today. Okay, so earlier speakers have given such beautiful information about how self-care can be accessed through different areas. Okay, and today I will be mostly talking from the aspect of clinical psychology. Okay, so body achieves what mind believes. Okay, and but this entire day is about self-care. Okay, and 24th of July, that is 24/7. So the word 24/7 itself means that there is no one time. That's what is the motto of WHO, that there is no one time that you can take care of yourself. It has to be 24/7. Okay. There is no specific day, there is no specific time. You just have to be. So it's such a beautiful interpretation and such a beautifully made concept that WHO has come up with. So let's get that intention from them before we go ahead and we build on how can we take care of ourselves. Okay. So the base is basically every day, every time your things have to be flowing in a way that yes, this is going to benefit me to go ahead. Okay, from the clinical aspect, we'll see look at it later, but we all are psychology students here is what I understand, right? And see, I have also been a student, So we know that psychologists, teachers basically love definitions, right? We always get a definition. What is psychology? What is mind? What is intelligence? Okay. And we have to remember those words and right. But the beauty of a definition is that it covers everything and leaves no gaps or loopholes. It is so beautiful. Okay. So allow me to read the definition of self-care given by WHO. Okay. So self-care, as WHO defines, is individual, families, and communities. So it's just you, your family, and a community at large, which promote and maintain their own health first. So first is your own health, preventing diseases and coping with illness and disability together. Okay. So you are just not focusing on your health, but you're also preventing what is going to come, like Toral Bhansali was earlier explaining very beautifully in her lecture. Okay. And coping with illness and disability. Okay. So with or without support of a healthcare worker. So right now, why WHO has started this particular self-care day is because they want all of us to go into the preventive measure. We all have heard this definition, right? Prevention is better than cure. It's a quote basically, yeah. That savdhani bhali hai durghatna se. Now, here it is so easy to hear and understand it, right? But what right now WHO is doing, suppose this is a tree, okay, and a tree has a lot of greenery and branches and leaves on top of it, and the roots are there of a tree. So I hope you all have got a structure of the tree. WHO is trying to address HIV, HPV, STI, the heavy disorders, heavy medical problems. Okay, because a lot of technology has developed nowadays. You have everything on app, reports are coming, people are coming at home to take your testing, medical thing. So that is the kind of self-care that WHO is aiming at. What I will work with you today is at the root level, so that when the tree grows, it does not reach at that level. Okay. How you can do self-care at such a basic level that you prevent that disease from occurring. Okay. You keep a regular checkup and you go ahead and you do it. So what happens? Abhi recently COVID-19 आया था, right? We all were in it together. That was one thing that कोई बच नहीं सका है उससे. In a way, we all were in the pandemic together all over the world. One thing what we learned was self-care. हाथ धो, खाना सही से खाओ, हाथ धो के खाओ. Okay. Wash your clothes daily. When you're going out and coming home, make sure you remove your dress. You sleep well. You eat healthy food. Okay. No junk food. Everything was going amazing, right? So that kind of self-care, when we did, our immunity came back and we did not contract the disease. Isn't it? We were healthier enough to take care of ourselves. Now, when I went in Rajasthan, also I saw a very beautiful thing. Now they can't change the climate there. The summers are really bad. It's 50, 57 at times. You get burns. You people die. It's that bad. Okay, if you go out without an umbrella or covering yourself, it's very bad. But a lot of people could die. They take preventive measures. They have certain things. So once the summers start coming, they start preparing their body for it, because there is always a transition phase from summer to winter and from winter to summer. So they prepare, they are well aware about it. Okay. So self-care is basically an intervention which is for future healthcare. Okay. It is basically saving your pockets rather than investing, getting admitted in the hospital. Is saving your pockets one thing, because we Indians understand money a lot, isn't it? We really want to go where we get the best in least money. So here you don't even have to give any money. It's just about being there for yourself, taking care for yourself. And the healthcare system right now, because I am a part of it, I know I don't have space to take patients. It is so, there is abundance, and there are less clinical psychologists right now. Okay, one clinical psychologist, I don't know how many thousands of patients. Okay, so if we just start taking care of our health, of our daily lifestyle, and go ahead with it, it is really going to be beneficial. So I am not working at the above green part of the tree. I'm going at the root level, that when you take care of your basic daily lifestyles, it will not get converted into higher medical disorders. Okay. So as Manpreet said, I work at Fitterfly. So I will tell you the kind of work I do there and the kind of work I've done before and how this correlates. Okay. But before coming there, now I've explained you what self-care is. So I hope that concept is clear in your mind, because to go ahead, we need to know what is the base of that concept, right? Okay. If you still have any questions, please feel to put it in the chat box, and I am surely going to take it up at the end. Going ahead, mind. Okay. So mind is what is mind? Everyone has a different explanation and definition, but here we are not there to discuss that. This is not a psychology class. What I'm going to discuss is more about what is the power of mind right now. The first thing before we go and find the link between mind and body. So I'm going to give you the randomest examples that I have come. This is going to be very example kind of conversation today. Okay. No theory, nothing. Application, and from application, I'll come to theory maybe. Okay. So in 2016, when I was a student, okay, I read this in news that a Scandinavian mother, okay, very sleek, very thin, but when so the child and the mother were crossing the road, and a car came in full speed, and the child went under the car. She picked up the car with her two hands and removed the child. And this is true. You all can search it. I'm not kidding. Okay. Runners who get hamstring pull, ligament pull while running, how do they still complete the race? आपको training में हो जाए तो आप उठ ही ना पाओ. You will go on a break. They still run and they complete because they have that in their mind. They've made up their mind. We are not going to quit until we complete the race. Okay. In Jaipur, when I was studying MPhil, when I saw patients diagnosed with mania, I hope we all have heard this word mania because we all are psychology students here. The relative of that patient clicked a photo and got to me that he picked up a Royal Enfield bike, okay, which is like very heavy. Okay. Y'all can experience it sometime with one hand, and he's so sleek. How did that energy come? Okay, because in that aggression and in mania state, they think they can do anything, and even 12 people could not control him. So there they used to click pictures and get, because they thought we won't believe it. It was a stigma, but we know what the disorder is and how things work. Okay, substance use patients I've seen, once they decide, they give up without medications, without withdrawal symptoms. So how strong a mind can be? We've not even unleashed the potential of it. Okay, but here we are not going to unleash the potential. We want to see the power of mind and how it has an effect on the body. Okay, mind is a very powerful tool. We only use 10% of it in our one lifetime. We don't access the rest 90%. Okay, that's the subconscious and unconscious mind, and that's another story altogether. But now, since you all understood what is the power of mind, let's understand the mind and the body connection, how this affects us, and how it is going to help us in our further self-care. Okay, so y'all all would have heard HPA axis. Okay, hypothalamic pituitary axis. I mean, this was since the time I've been a student, I've always answered this question in my graduation, masters, and MPhil. Like paper mein aata hi tha ye. It is such an important concept. HP axis and stress, HP axis diabetes, HP axis depression, everything. It's linked. Okay. So what HPA axis does is it basically releases a stress hormone called cortisol into our blood. Okay, which is a stress fighting hormone. Okay, so body releases this stress hormone, and this stress hormone can act on multiple organs to redirect energy. तो ये hormone क्या करता है? आपकी body को prepare करता है fight, flight, freeze mode के लिए, isn't it? So सारी energy ले रहा है organ से for a anticipated or real demand. In anxiety, it's more anticipated. Okay, in real is what you can see outside, isn't it? But after a point of time, एक time ऐसा आता है जब ये process इतनी automatic हो जाती है कि you don't even realize that actually there is a threat or no. That's when anxiety settles in. Okay, and your body is unnecessarily releasing cortisol, and your body's immunity is going down because energy from all the organs is being utilized to be prepared for a fight. Okay. So if you all want to read more on this and you all are psychology students here, I would really ask you guys to read psychoneuroimmunology. There's an experiment done on rats about it and how, your psychology, neurology, immunology, everything is linked. It's beautiful. Okay. एक example देती हूँ आपको real life में, क्योंकि मैं अपने patients के साथ भी यही करती हूँ. They don't understand psychology. Madam, ये testing क्या होती है? आप electrodes लगाओगे, क्या करोगे? So I give them doctor examples because there they relate very easily. So I'm also going to give you a doctor example today. So blood pressure. What is blood pressure? If any difficult situation comes, blood rushes fast because information has to reach to the entire body quickly, so body is functioning at 2 times, 3 times the speed. But once the threat goes away, once the situation is solved, blood pressure should come normal, right? Which does come. But if you keep on doing this process on a daily basis, Rosanna, you get blood pressure because the body forgets what is the normal. That is the new normal for the body. So the stress hormone also, it is supposed to be secreted जब आपको problem आ रही है. But वो रोज ही आप anticipate कर रहे हो, तो now the new normal is entire time your body is prepared for fight or flight, and the brain is also functioning like that. So they are supporting each other. So that's the mind body connection. Okay, the body is prepared, it's there, but the immunity is going weak because organs are depleted of energy, right, guys? So now let me give you simpler explanations of this. Now these are all the cases I've seen. No confidentiality leak, no information giving, but it will be the chief complaints and what was the belief system. So आपको मैं एक चीज बताती हूँ, when you all will start seeing patients or you all will start observing people around you, you will notice one thing. The easiest way for the mind's confusion, the emotions that you feel and you process it in your mind, and everything, whatever you suppress, the easiest way is for it to come out through body. Pain, back pain, neck pain, head pain. Then if you go one level higher, blood pressure, breathing issues, okay, diabetes, obesity, heart problems, सब कुछ. फिर आप बस वो लेवल्स ऊपर ही होते जाते हैं, उसके बाद नीचे नहीं आते जब तक आप उस पर वर्क ना करो तो. Okay, so now I will tell you how the mind, what it thinks, okay, and then what develops. So let me start, and I'm going to give you 4-5 examples. तो बैठ जाए आपके दिमाग में कि मैं क्या बोल रही हूँ, फिर इसको हम कैसे प्रिवेंट कर सकते थे सेल्फ केयर से, एंड यू योरसेल्फ विल स्टार्ट कनेक्टिंग इट सोन. ठीक है? So let's take a classic example of diabetes, because I work at Fitofly and this example is currently from there. Okay, so we deal with a lot of diabetes, obesity patients and their psychological belief system. So but this patient I saw when I was in Rajasthan. So she and her husband came to me. Okay, and the husband said that, ma'am, her entire family has diabetes. She was pregnant. Usually they do a diabetes test in pregnancy because your levels go high. Okay, I'm not getting into the words, but yes, so GDM, gestational diabetes mellitus is what they say. So if this goes high, the child's brain can be hampered. Okay, a lot of deformities can happen, things can go bad, parameters of pulses can, it can vary. So it is very good to prevent it. Now what had happened is that her entire family had diabetes, and what say, हाँ diabetes है, एक ही जिंदगी है, we have to eat, we can't just let it go like that. No? How much will we stop eating? And Marwadis have good meetha every time after food, it's very tasty, trust me, if you all ever visit Rajasthan or any Rajasthani restaurant. So now what happened is that when I spoke to her belief system is, so what, everybody in my family has it, what is the harm? I get it, it is going to be passed on. So she didn't have awareness that it can stop, because nobody in her family ever tried to work it out, ever tried to stop it. Okay, with basic self-care of eating food on time in a timely manner, keeping her parameters in check, getting her blood sugars checked, she could have done it. And why she was got to me is the highlight of this entire therapy session that I took with her. It was for depression, because with diabetes comes depression, they are friends. Okay, so diabetes and depression usually go hand in hand. Agar diabetes बढ़ी है, you get depressive symptoms, you can clinically diagnosed. So just imagine the state of the child in a womb, what the child is going through. And with basic self-care, how she could have prevented. The basic self-care here could have been food, regular testing, exercise a bit. Okay, as basic as this. Now going to a second example, a 12-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, 6th standard, diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Again, the same thing. Her entire family is having diabetes. Okay. So what I found out after speaking to her mother was, what she was feeling bad is कि diabetes इतनी जल्दी हो गई, 24-25 में होती तो समझ सकती थी. Now I want you to make it go 24-25 में आएगा तो चल जाएगा. Okay, but here they are not understanding how much harm it is going to do to a cognitive health. In diabetes, your nerves start breaking down, your immune system hampers, you go blind after a couple of years of diabetes and high sugar. There's so much bad that happens. But just imagine that poor child who does not know anything and is eating the food and the rasgullas and everything that a mother is giving. Okay, because that is how the family is staying. So the family belief system, it's not just your belief system. In the first one, it was yours. Second one, family's belief system influencing you. Okay, so I had to do a lot of belief work, a lot of cognitive restructuring for the mother first, and then come to her, because she's a blank slate till now. She's still learning. Okay, and her mother is the source. So when you see her, if the mother brings the changes, automatically the changes will come in the child. Okay, now let's come to obesity. Obesity is, there's a competition. Diabetes or obesity mein kaun first aayega world mein? The world, one person is either diabetic or obese. It's like that going on, and everyone is fighting to be the capital. India is soon going to be a capital for obesity. USA has taken for diabetes. USA has taken it for obesity. Okay, so इतने beliefs होते हैं ना obesity के बारे में, food के बारे में. भूख नहीं लगी है, movie देख रहे खाओ. बुरा लग रहा है खाओ. You keep eating for no reason. What happens when a child is born? Okay, so whenever the child cries, what happens? The mother feeds the child. Food forms an association since birth with comfort, and that you carry on throughout your life. You understand how complicated that association is and how regressive. You don't see food as a source of energy anymore. So mind thinks food is comfort. You're the mind and body. What body shows? Obesity. Okay. Body keeps eating. Stomach's elasticity keeps on increasing. Then what you do? Bariatric surgery. You have so many problems and all of that. Okay. So this is more of the medical side. Even for trauma, person has gone to physical abuse, psychological abuse, neglect. Okay. What happens? Where does it show? There is butterflies, trembling, sweating. Okay. Cognitive processing happens later. First, physical symptoms start showing up. The dread of going to the same place or hearing the same voice. So that is how the body takes everything first, because the mind has already stored and formed the neural pathway. I hope this is not getting a little complicated for you guys, but these are all the real examples that I have seen, and I feel theory se better practical is, it's like the amazing thing to learn. You will remember all these things. Substance, what is substance? It's like another addiction, like food. Food is just very socially, it's cheaper. Nobody will stop you. It's just available. Substance is more looked down upon, but the pathways and the mechanism of food, of shopping, of substance, everything is the same. For your body to feel good, where does substance go? In the body. So body gives the signal to the mind that I feel good. Mind gives the signal to the body, have some more. I want to feel more good. The connection being reinforced and reinforced. That's why एक पेग से चालू करते हैं, पूरी bottle तक जाते हैं, because that's the coordination happening between mind and body. Okay, so this is all about how mind and body is connected. Okay, and how it shows up in disorders on a daily basis. Okay, be it your exam stress also. वो जो jittery feeling होती है stomach में, how does the stomach know that you are feeling stressed here? There is a connection, right? Isn't it? So here हमने ये सब बातें तो कर ली. अभी आप कोई भी थेरेपिस्ट के पास जाओ, कोई भी साइकाट्रिस्ट के पास जाओ, डॉक्टर के पास जाओ, they will say take medication, take therapy, do this testing, let us see how much your thiamine levels, B12 levels have dropped, what has happened, XYZ thing. But just imagine if your mind gives the signal to the body, but the body does alternative activities instead of all these things to take care of it. If you work on your belief system, if you go in the right line, how amazing and awesome will it be? Such a fulfilled life you will have. One life, right? Let's make it worth living. Isn't it? I had a patient who once told me, just derailing a little, that, I want to die. I said, okay, what is your plan? Because we do testing. क्या level पे intention है, intent क्या है, planning कितनी है. I will jump from where? From third floor. Third floor से jump करने से क्या ही होगा? If you want to die, die from the 7th floor, jump. Like, what are you saying, Pallavi? I said, no, this means that you don't want to die. Somewhere you know, your brain knows कि third floor से गिरने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. Then he understood, yes, there is motivation. So you have to work on mind, body, planning, everything together. But one thing then we started with him and with everybody that I start, the root level is self-care. Okay, for example, brushing teeth क्यों सिखाते हैं बचपन में? Self care, ताकि आगे जाके डीके, कैविटी, ये सब की प्रॉब्लम्स कम हो. You have teeth for a longer time, right? So that is the self care for that problem. So here, when you make a self care routine a part of your life, there is evidence. You know, psychologists work on evidence. There is evidence based researches that say that it helps you reduce stress and burnout. और जब stress और burnout नहीं होगा, तो HP axis कैसे activate होगा? Now you will see the link of what I said. How will the HPA axis get activated if there is no stress or burnout? Then it will not be automated and your body's immune system will be fine. There will be no diseases at all. Okay. So you need to tune into yourself and enhance your social awareness through regular self-care. Okay. N number of diseases आप avoid कर सकते हो. जैसे कि जब आपका एक self-care routine established है. Okay. I work in this disciplined manner. I do these activities for myself. This is very important and first line treatment for schizophrenia, mania, depression, anxiety. Activity scheduling हम करवाते हैं. Okay. Why? Because schizomania, schizoaffective, जब भी इनमें transition हो रहा है, we come to know through their self-care activities whether they are able to do it or no. That's an awesome indicator. You avoid them getting admitted to hospital. You avoid the medicinal cost. You avoid so many things. You give them the power to understand what is happening in themselves. Empowering others is a great thing. Okay. It also helps us avoid and delay the diseases and even prevent it. And सब साइड में रखो. WHO बोलता है you are not healthy until you do not have a good quality of life. Just because disease नहीं है इसका मतलब ही नहीं I'm fine. I have a good quality of life. Good quality of life has 4 domains: psychological, physical, social and environmental. सब में टिक होगा तभी आपकी good quality of life. Okay. So don't think you are healthy until and unless you do not work on this. Okay. So let's wrap it up because I'm running out of time and I give you 4 areas today. Okay. These 4 areas, I want you to note it down somewhere. Phone mein note kar lo kahin pe bhi. This is also one self-care thing you will be doing for you right now. Okay. One is spiritual. Sabse pehle, spiritual. Some meditating, deep breathing, reading self-help books, whatever. Spiritually, no religious. They have 2 very different things. Okay. Anything spiritual will help you connect with yourself because until आपका connection खुद से नहीं होगा, you will not do anything for yourself. Okay. Then comes emotional. Emotional में to have an emotional vent out. Talk to somebody. Not asking advice. You do not want them to talk back, but you want to vent out. Do some form of dance or art, whatever is comfortable. Some self-soothing activities. Physical, fix a time for a workout. Get regular checkups done. D12 और D3 तो मैं सबको बोलती हूँ every 6 months कराओ. Because इसी से सारे disorders एक तरीके से start होते हैं. Okay. Mental, take psychology sessions. Have your therapist in place. Once in 6 months, if you take, you don't have to take once in 3 months. Just a follow-up session. Okay. Learn techniques to help yourself psychologically. And daily में तो मैं बोल लेती हूँ, we all have a morning routine set here. सुबह उठ के ये करना है वो करना है ये वो. We transition. Today, make a night routine. Before sleeping 1 hour, what all things I have to do to close my day. Isn't it? We don't have to just put our laptop down without shutting it and go to sleep. We have to put it on switch off mode. We have to take the steps to click on start, shut the computer down, do things so that the computer has a bigger life. Okay. So the takeaway for today is just develop your self-care routine on a daily basis. अभी 1 साल है आपके पास जब तक दोबारा से this self-care day is going to come. Make this aim कि I am going to make 12-13 tasks for myself. 1 task every month I will do for my self-care. Either that can be that one thing or I'm going to work on these 4 domains and make it. Make a day and night routine. There is no argument on it. ये तो करना ही है. Okay. Make a self-care list. और ये list ना बहुत curated होती है. जैसे आपके friends बोलते हैं ना, अरे ये गाना सुनो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा, फिर आप बोलते हो मुझे नहीं अच्छा लगा. I do not want to listen to this. I like this song more. So your self-care routine cannot match somebody else's self-care routine. Okay. And for the next self-care month, make a self-care bingo and tick it for the 30 days. Channelize your energy with everyone in the universe at that time who's taking care of themselves. Okay. Develop habits, please. Don't take it as a one-day thing. Develop this for your lifetime. Okay. That's it from my end. And I'm open to questions. If you want me to explain anything more in detail also, that is fine and I can go ahead.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have a lot of questions coming in. Anushka has asked, how challenging has it been for you to help patients that refuse to believe that their symptoms are representative of something else?
See, there are challenges, especially when people come from a family belief system. Okay. They come from a family belief system. So I just say one thing. Just imagine, okay, somebody else lives in a hut. Okay. Suppose you live in a hut. Now, what will you aim for? Living in a hut and bringing all your generations into the same hut, or upgrading, going into a flat, then a bungalow, having AC, having refrigerator? Because people understand metaphors, they don't understand direct conversation. So, like that, only if your family is suffering from diabetes, why do you want to pass a negative thing to your generation? And your child will look at you and learn. तब वो होता है ना enlightenment, बत्ती जलती है कि अरे हाँ, this makes sense. If we can upgrade from physical materials, why not physical health also? Okay. And then they take, and we don't give big changes because the change, one change is already happening here. So self-care and physical changes start very small. One change maybe for 2 weeks is what we give. Okay. And we help them work on it. So I hope that answers your question. It is challenging, but we have to metaphorically explain it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Aditi has asked a question. How can we work on ourselves to change the belief systems that we have inherited from our parents?
Yes, that is a very beautiful question, and that's why psychologists exist. Okay, because according to you, your belief system, to identify it where it lacks, you need a facilitator. You need a neutral. So, for example, you know that I want to visit this place. I like this place. Okay, but you've never been to the place. तो या तो आप Google की help लोगे. आजकल Google है. पहले क्या होता था? Travel guides, things. So you need a facilitator, right, to take you through it, especially when it's a new place and you're going alone. So I will say initially, take help of a therapist to work on it. And once, and every a good therapist will empower you to identify your belief system so that you don't have to come back. Okay, because that is what at least I do in my sessions. So I will say go find a therapist that fits you and start working, and they will empower you and teach you कि आगे कैसे करना है. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. COVID truly did teach us to host an intervention for us on self-care. The mantra prevention is better than cure holds a much deeper meaning. As you said, our mind is the most powerful part of us and has immense effect on our body. We likewise should surely train our mind in a better way. We as students are taught often of the mind, but your insight has enlightened us on how somatic breakouts that could occur as a consequence we need to be careful of. We also overlook how strong the connection is between our mind and our body, that whatever we suppress will surface itself through physical symptoms. We thank you again, ma'am, for showing us how the simplicity of self-care plays a bigger role in our mind and on our body. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Manpreet, and a special thank you to Dr. Meghna Basu for having me here. I do not know if she's there in the session or no right now, because I could see her earlier.
I am.
Hi, hi,
No, no, I
hi.
am. Hi, Pallavi.
Okay,
It was a
yes, yes.
pleasure listening to you. I was just waiting for you to finish till I thank you,
Okay,
but it
okay.
was a pleasure listening to you. And I think you've given very important tips for our students. And I'm sure, especially I love the part with your diabetes and obesity connect, because that's where I think I fall in. So I was trying to figure all that out. But great. Thank you so much for your inputs. And thank you for being with us today evening.
Thank you so much, everybody, for having me here. And I'll just put my email ID in case, because usually questions pop up when you think over it, sleep over it. And if there is anything that comes, I'm here to guide you and help you. So I'll put my email ID and you can mail it to me. Okay. Great.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you so much.
Pallavi. Don't put it on the chat, darling. You can send it to us, and we can send it to students if they require.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing, great.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. So far, in different segments, we have been covering different areas of self care: physical, mental, Ayurvedic, and so on. But balance is the key to self care. To take better care of ourselves, we must invest in all areas equally and understand the connection between the mind, body, and soul. To speak about how we can cultivate balance in our self care practice, we have Mr. Shishant Duri. He is a life coach, positive psychology coach, and also strength and conditioning coach. He is also a Mumbai Shri bodybuilding silver medalist and Maharashtra Shri sixth place. Currently, he is training various national and international level rifle and pistol shooters, PTKS, and CSMMS. I would like to now invite Shishant sir to share his knowledge about balance and self care.
Okay, hi, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, let's start. Before starting the session, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Okay, on the self-care day. Okay, so before starting the session, okay, I'm not going to tell you any kind of. I'm not going to speak about any kind. I'm not going to tell you any kind of tips which you have to implement today. Okay, with respect to your fitness, with respect to your nutrition, I'm just going to share some things. I'll going to share some facts which are not known actually in day to day when you follow day to day fitness regime, when you exercise. Okay, so all those things I'm going to share today. I need some questions from your side as well. Okay, which I'll answer later after finishing. Actually, my video is my video. Can you see my video?
No, sir.
Okay. So this video is not. They are not showing. Okay. Do you want me to rejoin?
No, sir, that's all right. If your video is not working, sir, that's all right. Sometimes the network, the bandwidth suffers with the video on. So you're audible, sir.
Okay. Okay. So before starting the session, means what actually is fitness all about? Okay. I just need you, all of you, those who are in this session, to just write down what is fitness according to you. Okay. I'm going to speak about what is fitness, but before that, I want you all to write down what is fitness according to you. Okay. Chalo. So basically, we know that fitness is something going to gym, working out daily, taking care of yourself, eating good food, exercising, doing all the so-called fitness things which are there, okay, which are marketed to do. Okay, so that is not something what fitness is all about. Okay, so basically fitness is very functional to what kind of things you are doing. Okay, for example, if I'm training an athlete, fitness to him will be very functional to the activity which he will be doing. For example, Fitness for a swimming athlete will be a different. Fitness for a rifle shooting athlete will be a different. Fitness for a normal individual will be a different. So what happens is when we see celebrities or when we see any other people, okay, and when they speak about their fitness, okay, we get attracted towards their fitness. Okay, this is where we are comparing ourselves with unnatural things. Okay, if I am 100 kgs and if I listen to Shah Rukh Khan speaking about his fitness regime, and tomorrow I'm starting his fitness regime, what he is doing, so that is something which is very wrong and different according to fitness. Fitness is very personal. Okay, it can't be compared to anyone, it can't be compared with anyone. Okay, so it is very personal thing which you have to do and which you have to follow. Okay, so fitness basically stands on 5 components. Okay, there are 5 components of fitness. So first component is your cardiovascular fitness. Second component is your muscular endurance. Third component is your muscular strength. Fourth is your flexibility. And fifth, which we everyone want, is the ideal body composition. So what happens is when the fitness is based on these 5 components, we basically tend to go towards the outcome, which is your ideal body composition. Okay, for example, before starting your fitness journey, you want to be fit. That is something you are switching towards the outcome, which is not at all correct before starting your fitness journey. Okay, so fitness, as I told, is based on 5 components: cardiovascular fitness, your muscular endurance, muscular strength, and flexibility. So what is cardiovascular fitness? So cardiovascular fitness is nothing but the fitness related to your cardiovascular activities, which includes your organs such as heart and lungs. Okay, so these are the organs which play an important role while performing the cardiovascular activity. So now, not these activities are not only important for your uh, general fitness, but also these activities are important for the heart patients, for endurance athletes, for other athletes, okay, or normal individual. So what is vascular fitness all about? So you can do running in your vascular fitness. For your cardiovascular fitness, you can do swimming, you can go for walk. So what is the myth about cardiovascular fitness is generally people tend to say, for example, you must have heard an uncle saying in your surrounding, in your society, or any of your family members saying that मैं तो रोज 2 घंटा चलने जाता हूँ, या मैं तो रोज आधा घंटा सुबह उठने के बाद चलता हूँ. That is something the fitness which I am following for my cardiovascular fitness. So that is something which is very wrong. Okay, according to him it is correct, he is doing his daily routine, but half an hour walk is not at all exercise for him if he is doing it for from last 10 to 15 years. Okay, so it has become a general activity for him where he is following his half an hour walking. So that half an hour walking is not at all an exercise for him, but it is just a general activity which he is doing every day. Okay, so what actually he needs to do is to do a progressive overload while he is walking. Okay, so what is progressive overload? Okay, so for suppose on the day one I am walking for 10 to 20 minutes. So progressive overload means you have to increase your load from 5 to 10 minutes to 20 minutes. So this is what is called progressive overload while you are exercising. So exercising not only with respect to cardiovascular fitness, but with your respect to your muscular endurance, strength, flexibility, all this stuff. Okay, so next this thing component which I want to speak about is about the endurance. Okay, so muscular endurance. So now you must have seen many strength training athletes or on Instagram reels lifting heavy weights, pushing heavy weights. Okay, so that comes under muscular strength. So what is endurance all about? So endurance is nothing but repeating the movement for multiple times. So where this kind of fitness is important, or why this kind of fitness is important in day-to-day life. Okay, why this is important? Because, for example, let's take a normal or abnormal example. For if anything happens at your place, or any emergency takes place at your place, where you have to lift someone and run to the hospital. So this is where your endurance take place, uh, your cardiovascular endurance plus your muscular endurance, where you have to lift a person and rush towards the hospital. Okay, so lifting a person is definitely a strength, but holding that person for few minutes or few seconds till the hospital or till the ambulance is something muscular endurance, where the muscular endurance is required. Okay, so that is something muscular endurance all about, and that can be trained with multiple in multiple ways. For example, you can get your muscular endurance trained while swimming. You can get your muscular endurance trained while doing weight training, body weight training. Okay, unless and until there is no progressive overload, you can't progress in achieving your muscular endurance. Fourth thing is your flexibility. Again, when you strength train, when you exercise, your muscles tend to shrink or your muscles tend to get tighter. Okay, so here where the muscular flexibility is required. Okay, so which avoids the injury. So it is very normal in India where people tend to exercise and forget about stretching after the training sessions. Okay, so this leads to injury. Okay, so to avoid this kind of injury free training or other injuries while following your fitness, okay, you are supposed to do the stretches and also your flexibility workout after your gym training or your swimming or any kind of training which you are doing. I have many athletes which who tend to stop, or they are irritated when I ask them to stretch. Okay, means they are not open to stretches. So it is something normal which you are not open to stretches. Oh, but it is fine. Yeah. Next thing about fitness which I want to speak about is your body composition. So this is the important topic which everyone is interested in while they are on their fitness or they are following their fitness regime, is your body composition. Okay, so everyone wants to be slim, everyone wants to be in shape, everyone wants to follow a proper uh, what you say everyone wants to be like their role models, everyone wants to look beautiful. So this is what everyone is looking after. Okay, and which is also normal, and obviously everyone wants to be like their role models. So what happens in while attaining your body composition is you tend to exercise and you tend not to focus on your diet. So this is which is important while attaining your body composition. We humans have evolved doing various things, okay, and among various things. Actually, when humans evolved, we were hunter gatherers, okay. So we evolved as a hunter gatherers, and then we started various other things. So this is how we evolved.
Sir, are you still in the meeting? Okay, I'm sorry everyone. I think Mr. Sushant sir is facing some technical issues. So unfortunately, we'll have to wrap up early. Thank you so much for understanding everyone. Uh, it is crucial to engage in positive and consistent self-care practices in order to build back from and prevent burnout and manage stress. Self-care is a tool to cultivate resilience in our lives, empower ourselves, and create a safe space for others to do the same. Self care can bring up feelings of guilt for taking time off for ourselves, but we must be reminded that running on a constant brink of exhaustion does not help us reach our full potential in daily life and relationships. Self care is a decision, so let's act on self care together. We would like to thank our speakers for being generous with their time, for helping us see a different outlook. We would want to thank our audience for joining us as well, and the principals, Dr. Neha Jagtiani and Dr. Debajit Sarkar. We would also like to thank our HODs, Dr. Meghna Basu Thakur and Professor Neha Dalal for their guidance and encouragement in giving us the opportunity to explore the benefits of self-care in our lives. We hope that you will be leaving today with a powerful message and will ingrain it in your daily life. Please look for the feedback form link in the chat box and make sure you fill it so we can generate your certificate. Thank you and good night. Once again, everyone, just a reminder that please fill the feedback form. Only that way we will be able to generate your certificates.